even then.
And they all do. But then that's what makes the deck consoleized, right? That's what makes it feel like I'm playing on a console, because I'm not dealing with computer shit. I go right into big picture mode, and I'm on a computer. I'm on a console.
Unless you want to mess with all this stuff, then you
Well,
can.
yeah, I'm saying you can do that stuff if you want to. Obviously, you can do all that stuff. Whoa, I'm hearing like a delay, like a mother.
Are you? I'm not. You got the
Wait,
podcast on?
do I? I don't think I had
All
anything
this
up. Maybe I
fucking,
do.
all this fucking Steam Deck propaganda every fucking week.
It's funny how quickly, like, people were praising it, and now it's just like, it's just there. Like, no one, they made their videos, and they don't. I thought there'd be like,
I still see tons of videos.
maybe
all the time.
there's like the
Still get tons of
optimized
views.
settings videos. I haven't seen any though.
There's like weekly updates and.
Did you see Wolfden's like arcade that he built, and then he powered the Steam Deck? Forget the Steam Deck. That was this awesome thing he made. Like, obviously he had somebody make stuff, and he had that very one-off, like, or not one-off, but a very rare monitor aspect ratio. But that was a legit looking arcade cabinet, man.
That was pretty cool.
And I was like, I would definitely want something like that, but there's a lot of money and time involved in getting that up and running. He had to do a lot just to get it, like, to support that monitor, which was like almost a 4x3, but wasn't.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. So yeah, it's just gonna be the three of us, I believe. Robert, he might. We'll see. I ain't gonna say why but I have a feeling his new life, what his new pastime with his, with that person is
gonna change some things.
Might change Robert. When's the last back at the backlog?
Yeah, exactly. He took all that stuff.
He still watches the podcast, so shout out to you, Robert. He said he had a sniffle. He had a little sniffle in his nose, and he wanted to get to some sleep. So
I'm only laughing because we tried to tell him. It's like we tried to tell you this is going to happen. He's like, no. I'm gonna play 1,000 games a week. Man. No, you're not, man. That shit is not happening. Trust me.
We'll see. We'll see if that chronological order lasts.
Right.
when you're not playing anything, and all these new big games coming out. I remember, man. I always tell that story of the Wii. I got the Wii. I waited out in the cold. Best Buy, like 5 a.m.
Bruh.
Get home, hook it up.
What's your job? I'm sorry.
Invite my buddy over, get everything hooked up, stomping down the stairs. I told you we're going ice skating. What? I don't remember agreeing to that. Yeah, we're going. My brother and his girlfriend are already on their way. And I'm like, I don't know how to ice skate. Like, why would I want to ice skate? I just stomp, dude, up the stairs. I looked at my buddy Adam. He looked at me like, you're not gonna make me go home. And I was like, well, we'll resume this another time. And that was not a day. I love to tell that story. Hold on, I gotta change something real quick.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
Hey, you can't see it.
That's too far
I
back.
turned the lights down too much. It's Resident Evil 4 in a GameCube with the ugly cover, the ugly box art that we got.
Yeah, I still can't see that shit. Let me see. Maybe if I make you the full screen. No, I can see it better, but it's not great.
I just look. This camera likes low light, so I mean, it's really to my eyes. It's like super dark in here. But anyway, and then I didn't do a lot of gaming like that during that era for a couple years. I missed out on a lot of cool games. But it was the Wii generation. As soon as we broke up, I got a 360 within a month, and a PS5 with like 6 months, or PS3 6 months after that.
I was gonna say, damn, you got a PS5. Really?
Had all 3 systems, and I was like playing BioShock and Gears of War 1 and 2 and Assassin's Creed 2 and Dead Space, and I was just Call of Duty. I was just loving life there. But shout outs, Robert. Good for you. I'm happy for you.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We told you. that's that's all there is to
Game
that.
when you can. Game when you can.
We ain't mad that you're doing it. We just told you. That's all.
I
You're
didn't
gonna have
even.
like Tears. You're gonna have like Tears of the Kingdom coming out straight into the backlog. You know.
Like even if it was your job to do that, to play video games, you still can't play all the shit you want to play. It's not going to happen.
I mean, I gave up a long time ago on the idea of playing every game that looked like even remotely interesting to me. Like,
Yeah.
I said this to Retro Death, I know for sure. I'm really just looking to play the best games that come out each year, not just best in general, like the best games for me. Whether it's 5 games or 10 games or 2 games. My goal is just to play the best games, the best looking games for me each year. And then maybe if I play some older games, if I catch up on something, great. Like last year, I played a bunch of games that were not from 2022 and had a great time, and ended up playing a ton of games. But my goal each year is like, all right, I know Tears of the Kingdom looks good, Resident Evil 4 looks good. I know for sure I'm playing those 2 games.
Does Tears of the Kingdom look good? Does it?
We haven't seen it yet.
That's what I'm saying. You ain't seen shit. I
Well,
mean, we know
Retro
it's gonna
Death
be a good
claims
game.
that it's definitely like a visual, like big leap over the first game.
I haven't seen that.
I stick by that.
It's just not hazy. It's just clear. That's what looks so
No,
good
it's
about it.
more than that.
It's a clear image, not covered by somebody turning the brightness or contrast off, up or down.
They withhold horror now.
You can't say that
too
word.
bad of a word. Jeez.
I'm sure. I thought that word was punishable by death. Let's see. Prince Revolver didn't get a Wii till the last year of its life. Ooh, rough. I mean, you had a bunch to catch up on, but yeah, that last year was, other than Skyward Sword. There won't much. Midnight Owl, glad Robert is getting some action. Hey, does he still play with you guys like on Tuesdays? You guys play anything recently?
Yeah, we still do a regular Tuesdays. Last week though I couldn't, and I think Jace couldn't. But we still do it. I think last week we did Mario Kart maybe. But yeah, even now, like when we do it Tuesday, it's like Mario Kart, and now he's like, yeah, let's play Minecraft again. So like this bitch is playing like old ass games and shit, So the backlog is dying, man.
Yeah, it's just one of those, like I started to say, like you just have to realize. I remember I used to try to go see a movie every weekend, and then it was like when we were like started driving and stuff. I was like, yeah, I just want to make sure I go every month of the year. I want to go to see a movie at the theater every month of the year. Then it was like, well, every other month, then it's just like, it has to be something special for me to go. Like it just started tapering off because there's just not enough time in the day
And
in
the
your
movies
life.
aren't good anymore.
Well, yeah, but just in general.
Unfortunately, like
Yeah.
I'm like used to that stuff, fortunately, because I like doing so many things. Outside of gaming, I do so much other shit. Whereas, that's why I play like 100 games, but I finish none of them. That's the strategy I went with in order to play a lot of games. Like you gotta pick and choose, man. Like you just can't do everything.
I can't hate on the playing a bunch of games because, you want to play some shit. Like here's the thing. Like I just kind of made a joke about me not finishing stuff or finishing games, but I'm like, if the game is good enough for I want to finish it, I'm gonna finish the shit. So if I play a bunch of shit and they don't hold my interest, that's the game's fault. It ain't because I'm playing a bunch of shit. Because I will stop on some shit that's like, oh, that's compelling. Like I was playing a bunch of stuff, and then I started playing a Plague Tale, and I went through and finished that shit. I stopped everything else I was playing. I was playing Plague Tale. That was it. So it doesn't stop me from playing the games I actually want to play that I want to finish.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it just never worked to start like a bunch of games, because even if I was interested, like I started after, I forget, it was after the Cyberpunk next gen update last year. I was like, I'll boot the game up, and I played like 2 hours, and then I at the same time I picked up Demon Souls, and I played like an hour of that. Well, I didn't get back to Demon Souls for like 4 or 5 months, and I didn't get back to Cyberpunk for like a year. And when I started playing, I couldn't tell you what button did what. I had to basically relearn the whole freaking game, and I had forgotten the story. Like it was just it's hard for me to stop and go like that in games. So I
Right.
try. Oops, I didn't mean to put that on the screen.
Yeah, it used to be for me. I understand that because I don't know. I think now that I'm super busy, like now that I'm really busy because I'm doing 2 jobs, like that doesn't matter as much anymore. Um, I'm just trying to play what I can play when I can play it.
Yeah, I
So
was. I'm like having trouble even jumping between. I was having trouble going from Cyberpunk to Metroid Prime just because I was like, hell, I left off a spot in Cyberpunk. I can just resume right there, and then like a week later, I was like, I'll turn on the Switch, and then I played Prime for a couple hours, and like to me, that's almost I almost just like to focus on a game now and try to get through it. Uh, Prince started Horizon Zero Dawn 2 months ago, barely made progress. You got to push through in that game. You got to get to a certain point.
that's supposed to be happened.
Mm.
Same thing happened to me. I even made a video about how it took me a while to get into Horizon, and when I got in, I couldn't stop playing the fucking thing. So
What helped me was
um,
just any side quest. I was just tapping X to get through all the dialogue. I wasn't even listening.
yeah,
You get one word per sentence, and actually made it kind of funny because it was just nothing useful. If I sat there and listened to it, I'm like, what the hell am I listening to this for?
yeah.
I did that in Cyberpunk too with some of the
Speaking of Horizon, I can't think of his name right now.
Lance
Rest in peace
Riddick.
to that Lance Riddick. Rest in
Yeah,
peace, man.
rest in peace,
That
man.
came out of nowhere, bro. Like
60 years old, not that far
way
away.
too young. Way too young, bro. When you old like us, you start thinking that's too
Only
young.
16 years away from that.
When you thought 60 years old was old, you don't think that shit anymore.
You know, you think a guy, an actor, he looked
uh,
healthy. You think,
yeah, he's an
I'm
actor, so he's probably he's good to go. It's
taking
help,
care of. Probably got a personal
yeah.
trainer and all that. Yeah, trainer, but somebody. You never know. Some of these people, actors, it's just a job like it is for us, and they don't make the big bucks like others.
Yeah.
So to him, he might have just. I mean, seemed like a guy that just lived a regular life. He wasn't like a Hollywood,
Yeah.
living on the hills,
And he
and
was in everything.
he was
That
in he
dude was
was yeah he was
everywhere.
in a lot.
He was in the crappy Resident Evil show on Netflix as Wesker. Like, what the hell? He shows up in everything.
I
It's
think
sad.
John Wick's probably what most people will recognize him from, but I liked him in
You don't think
Horizon.
you don't think it was Quantum Break?
I didn't even remember him being in that one.
Yeah, he's the villain in Quantum Break.
It's been a while since I played it, but yeah, just it sucks. I mean, we've been losing a lot of actors and stuff and musicians the last few years, especially. It feels like it, but
That's when you know you're old, when everybody starts dying
that's
around you.
why like I spent the last like 2 weeks. I mean, a couple Saturdays in a row working morning, noon, and night just on my theater room, and I'm just like, you don't know how much longer I'm gonna be around. Like, why not just do my dream and just go to the? I'm not sitting there like going broke doing it. I'm not getting ridiculous with it, but I'm doing a lot of it myself. But I was just like, man, should I make this purchase? Like, why the hell not?
You bought that projector you want, you will be going broke.
I'm like, I've been saving up. I got the money. It's like, just do it. Like, you don't know how much longer you're gonna be here.
That is
So
true. That is true.
yeah, no, it's not like I'll be charging on a credit card paying 20% interest or anything.
Yeah, don't go out there and be crazy and shit.
No, it's like I've been saving just for that purpose. So I don't know what's kind of holding me up, but either way, I'm just like get it done, enjoy life, and
Well, the thing that sucks on the other side of that is like, you get what happens to you guys that end up being 95 years old and you spend all that damn money. You're like, oh shit.
yeah, I don't
And,
I don't expect to make it that long, but yeah, that sucked. But getting back to just like gaming
less
habits,
depressing things.
Retro Death, he started Elden Ring, and
Oh shit.
he's like, "Oh, dude, this, and this," and then he's like, "I got to this castle with a force field around it," and like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I mean, you just started the game. he's like, he's like in the second biome, like at the main castle where it's like if
Retro
you're
be exploring, man.
if
What you
you're
talking
level
about?
like I said, if you're level 30, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Even if it let him in, he wouldn't make it far. He'd be dead in seconds.
I've played like a few days. Like I got it for my birthday from my girlfriend.
Yeah, but
I
you said you
started
were 10
playing.
hours in.
Yeah,
And
and I'm playing like a few days. I'm like the clock now set 11 hours, I think. And you start off kind of like constricted, and you go into the open world. I'm like, okay, it's kind of like a little bit like Zelda. Hey, what's over there? I walk all the way over there, it's like a cave, I do the cave, walk somewhere else, and then like it's one of the first games where I started using the horse because there was this little gate and I couldn't get past the gate. There were too many enemies. Fuck it, I'll take the horse. I just ran right through that shit. I ran through it and shit. Followed the road. I see this small side road. I'm like, oh, there's this castle. Can I go in here? I couldn't go in there. There's a small hidden road between the rocks. I went in there and I ended up in like the fucking marshlands. There's a different castle. Let me try to go in there. Like fucking force fields everywhere. Like everything is blocking me, man.
if you got off your horse and took on one enemy, I think you'd be dead in that whole swamp area.
I've beaten, for example, that the giant dude who has
Well,
like the
that's
sword
yeah,
who like
that's
grabs
in
it
the
and shit.
starting area. I'm talking about in the swamp, the lakes of Lunari or whatever.
I tried to fight this one thing that kind of came out of the ground that looked like it was a boss, and this bitch hit me once, and it moved literally like this over the map and shit. I was standing in, this thing was moving around like this. I'm like, I ain't fucking dealing with this shit, so I just ran past it.
But yeah, I mean, the game lets you do it. You're not gonna, like I said, you're gonna get your ass
I solved
kicked.
some puzzles all the way back there. I found some shit. I discovered shit. You do what you can, and if at one point my freedom is restricting me in too many places, like it was doing now, fine, I'll just start doing the main
There's
quest for a
nothing
little
that
bit.
could stop you from progressing other than tough
I mean, dying a
enemies.
fuckload.
Yeah.
And like I
Well,
said, two places already, I found like force fields that said I couldn't go in because I needed some kind of key and shit. So turn around.
Yeah.
yeah, retros like me. I remember Xenoblade Chronicles X and shit. I ran fucking from the beginning right to Cauldros, just just to be exploring shit. And then 20 hours later, I haven't done shit.
Exactly.
I haven't done a goddamn thing, but running around this damn map.
That's a pretty good comparison because it is at its core like an RPG as far as you level up, you pick a stat. It's not just an arbitrary what do they call those? Tree
Yeah,
ability trees and whatever and in like God of War stuff. It's like I'm just like, hey, do I want do I want a combo for my shield or my axe or what? This is like literally you can't use this weapon effectively until your arcane's at 13 and oh my
Yeah.
arcane's at 8. All right, now I have a reason to try to get my arcane up. Or you can't use this sword until level 30 strength. Oh, I'm at fucking 10. Well, there's 20 levels I need just to use this sword. And then you do that, and then the sword, I don't even like it. It's like, oh, I don't really care for this big heavy sword, But, um, and then every time you do that, your level goes up. But you could never touch your vitality, and your health bar would never change, and you could build up the strength, dexterity, magic build, whatever, and never touch your stamina or your health. It's very open to different play styles and but yeah, and it's one of those games where you'll figure stuff out. But like I said last week, Clacton and I were constantly giving tips or sharing stories just to help because you're never going to learn everything on your own, and especially in one playthrough. So
One thing I liked about Elden Ring, and I'd never seen that before, and the only reason I discovered it is because of my like OCD shit. When I play games like like old school games like Final Fantasy VI, let's go way back, and you're talking to somebody, I talk to them over and over until they don't say any new shit. I always do that. I want to know if this dialogue, okay,
mm-hmm.
this guy repeats himself after 2 times, whatever. I'm playing Elden Ring. I'm meeting this chick sitting on the floor somewhere, and I'm talking to her. She's talking about this shit. I'm like, okay, I talk to her again. She starts mentioning this crazy shit how like her friends were like like some spider took them for like body parts. I'm like, holy shit, I want to see more. And then literally like 2 or 3 more dialogues after that. All of a sudden she starts like giving me shit. Like she's giving me like items and stuff,
She gave you a
and
spirit,
like
didn't she?
quests and stuff. Yeah, a spirit exactly. And I'm like, what the fuck, Like it's ridiculous that Elden Ring like rewards that OCD that I've had like useless for like fucking 30 goddamn
Yeah,
years and
because if
shit,
you
you
just
know?
talk to her once or not, I mean, even
She
twice,
said something completely unrelated, like it was boring almost. But then the more you talk, like her story got crazier. You talk again, she's giving you shit, you
and
know.
then if you
Like
beat
it's,
that thing she mentions and talk to her again, then it opens something else up. So it's like you're right. But if you want to just play and fight tough bosses, and you don't have to do any of that extra stuff. Yeah, you gotta. There are like Terrell. He picked up a letter from a corpse and he didn't look at it. Well, it was a hint and it was a map. Didn't give you a shit to look at. It was a tiny little map, but it kind of pointed you in the direction to get a key to that academy, the castle you were trying to get into. Which I think you probably picked it up too, because if you were at the gate, it's right there, the corpse, and he tells you, and it has a letter, but it doesn't tell you when you pick it up. It just says whatever letter or something, and then you have to go into your inventory, go to that category like I showed retro, and find it, and then click on it. Then it gives you what tells you what's on the letter, and it shows you the map. So it really rewards like going that extra mile, and I think it's just incredible what the game celebrate. It sold like 20 million or something now. Maybe that.
Yeah,
I think it was
20
that
million,
one.
somewhere around 20 million.
And
Yeah.
it's just crazy, and a bunch of people beat the first boss, which is really hard, Margit. And it was like the trophy was at 80% last year. I don't know what it is now, and people are playing it, and that even Neil Druckmann had to admit that less hand holding, he sees the value of it, and he wants to try to implement in the next game. I mean, obviously not the competitive shooting game it looks like they're working on, but that would be great. I would love like the Last of Us 3 or whatever their next game with less hand holding, less
Depressing.
obvious things. Just there's a circle. There's a little white circle. That means I can walk up and interact with something. I can hoist Ellie up and she can throw a ladder down. Like, let some discovery happen organically. But the problem with games where the environments and everything look so good, and if you don't know you can interact with an object, if it just looks like it's part of the environment, then people are going to have to try to open or smash every single thing they see. So I understand why some of that stuff has to be marked.
You talking about the little circle thing that you can kind of see through
Yeah,
walls at times? I'm
just like
playing.
in drawer over drawers, there'll be a circle means you can open that
Yeah,
drawer. If there isn't a
Ubisoft
circle,
games do that a lot too.
then it's like you don't have to waste your time trying to open a drawer. At least it has to give you some kind of indication that
Yeah.
hey,
Then you open a drawer, ain't shit in there. It
yeah,
happens
but
so much in those games.
at least you don't have to go walk up to everything that looks like a drawer and see if it'll open or not.
Or
But
your
the
scan
one
visor.
thing the one thing I absolutely fucking hate in Elden Ring though, and it's a small detail, but it pisses me off, is when you pick up an item, like a plant or whatever, you have to press it away. I died several times in the beginning because I couldn't use my sword because
yeah,
even though you
yeah,
can walk around, you have to press it away. You can't attack otherwise. That's some dumb shit, man.
you get used
Mm.
to pressing that. Like I know, like you can tell each item looks different on the ground. Like a little, there's like glowing skulls, and then they drop, um, like rune. What are they actually
Yeah.
called? Like what that looks like. So if I know I'm just picking one of those, I'll just spam triangle as I'm walking over it.
Yeah, I'm learning that now too, but like in the beginning, like it's just
Yeah,
annoying
it'll
as shit.
become muscle memory.
Will the combat in this game? Can you see it?
Oh, two
God of
hours,
War.
2.8 hours.
Yeah, I've been playing it. And I want to play it again. So that's a testament to how good the game is, because I own every God of War game and I beat none of them. They just do not hold me until the end.
I beat the first one, back the original.
Yeah, I beat God of War 2. I did beat God of War 2.
I will
That was the
say
only
the
one.
combat in that one gets way more interesting as you can upgrade your moves, and you get another a weapon.
Yeah,
But it's fairly late in the game. I'm gonna say it's more than halfway,
yeah.
and it does completely freshen it up. But
I will tell you the default preset on Steam Deck for this game looked like I was playing Nintendo Switch, bro. Like, what is what is this?
Man,
Like what? Ooh, my eyes. Something's not right. I had to go in, and I don't know a whole lot about FSRs and all this stuff, so I'm just messing with everything. And I finally got it to where it's like, oh, okay, because everybody's talking about how good it looks on deck, and I'm like, oh, I don't see it right now. That's for sure. It looks terrible.
so what you're
Was it?
saying is God of War could easily run on Switch. Ooh.
Yeah, it'd be hideous, but it probably could run on a Switch.
I'd be curious if you get further. As you get further, you get the second other weapon, and you upgrade your move sets because you can do like a special heavy and a special light attack, and they're not available right away. And then once you unlock that, then you'll get a new version. So at one, he'll just take his axe and maybe he'll just pound the ground and send a shockwave. And then there's one where he'll throw it and it'll spiral around. And then once you find one you like, and then you get one for the light and the heavy, combine it with the switching weapons on the fly, and that your second weapon has the same thing with specials on the light and heavy. Plus you have some shield stuff, your counter system. And I was like, I said it with Ragnarok. I try to plead my case. I think this has captured the essence of the original God of War's like combat and stuff really good, except for it took away the jump and the double jump. It's just more of a grounded, but it feels very God of War to me. It's very combo heavy.
Yeah, at first it did not. But then when I started fighting bigger enemies, I'm like, oh, okay, now this feels like God of War, where the camera changes and you're going around and you're doing stuff that would be like a quick time in the old game. Yeah,
finishers, and you get
right.
you get the blades of chaos,
I'm
and
like, all right, no, okay,
and it
I can
feels to
see it.
me it's expanded. Like it's not restricted. It's other than the
Yeah,
jump. I feel like it really captured. That's why I'm more surprised more people just kind of like don't give it any credit towards being like that evolution, like playing Mario 3 in 3D for the first time. This is like they took God of War and they freed up the camera. Now it's a full
mm,
3D game, and it to me it feels like God of War. I don't know. I'm watching some gameplay of the original games, God of War 3 afterwards. I was just like it all feels like God of War, other than the settings different. Like the gods are different. To me, I
yeah.
feel like they really can, but no one really gives it credit for that. I think everyone's like, oh, it's just something different. It's just completely
Does it
different.
explain why he's in a different setting? Why it's
Yeah,
not Greek mythology anymore? It does. Okay.
I
And
mean,
one more thing, the kid, what's his
Atreus.
name?
Boy.
Atreus. Boy. Um, right now he feels like he's unstoppable. He can't be hurt. I'm sure that changes, where he's getting in situations where you got to help him and save him and shit.
You don't really ever have to worry too much about him. He's like an AI companion that's like I don't
That's
think
unstoppable.
I don't think he dies. Like you're never gonna get punished from the AI getting himself killed. Like
Okay.
it's just Kratos who
Because that was
dies.
the worry before I played the game. I was like, oh no, fucking AI companion in the entire game.
Everybody
Like,
loves escort missions, man. That's built
Yeah,
a
you
whole
yeah, it's the
fucking
literally
best
game
thing
mod.
ever. Escort missions
you
is great.
never have to watch Atreus die. Like that's never your game over. Like Atreus, it's always like, Father, no, like as he
Yeah,
dies.
yeah.
I always love those. We should talk about that maybe right now. I mean, the games that have people like mourning your death as you die in a game. Obviously, Snake was
Well,
the
every Sony game it feels like does that.
Snake, Snake,
Uh,
and
Uncharted.
oh yeah,
Drake. Yeah, that's what they do.
and Last of Us they don't give you any time. It's just like you get bit, this loud
Oh
screech,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's game over. Like
It's over. Yeah.
Um, speaking of Last of Us, what do you think of the ending? Did you watch it?
I I thought it was bold. I want to know how close it is to the game. Uh,
Identical.
that's what I heard, and I'm like,
Except the game, you get more time beforehand, so you really, because their relationship, you really feel like has reached a place through
mhm.
gameplay and stuff. You feel like they've bonded way more than just like 5 minutes, or not even a couple minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like you were there. I mean, obviously the game is a longer thing, and you're like, you build up the relationship over time. Um, but the thing is, for me in the game, it's just like, well, you're supposed to like her,
Mhm.
like that's just it.
Well,
You get to a point where you're
you
supposed
really
to like
do.
her.
Like Ashley Johnson kills it as her. Like it's
Right, she
hard not
does.
to.
It was nice to see that cameo of her,
Mhm.
and that was a brutal little scene there. That was a lot to deal with. But yeah, like so inevitably you're supposed to care about her. I felt like I got a little bit. I don't know. I haven't played the game to that point, so I don't know. But I felt like it made a lot of sense the way they did it in the show, and the baby girl thing and all that
Mhm.
stuff. I thought that was really well done. I felt it when he said that. I was like, oh shit, got a little teary eyed on that. I was like, oh, yeah, baby girl. But yeah, so but actually for me, the further they got from that point, the less I felt their connection. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah, that's what I
um,
mean. Like he says that in the end of the that episode. In the beginning, in the first episode, they have a few minutes where they're just they're kind of like banter. They both obviously like each other, but
yeah,
she's still
and
suffering
she's
from,
going through something, and you can see
and
it,
he's
and
trying,
that's part of what and he's trying to
and
be,
he's bad at it.
jokey. Yeah, he's
I
so
felt like there
bad.
wasn't enough time for you to really soak in the.
I would have liked another episode, maybe
Mm-hmm.
stretch it out, maybe one episode. I mean, it was 9 episodes, right? Let's do 10. Come on.
Fucking Sandstorm, you started The Expanse, didn't finish the first. How do you start an episode and not finish the episode?
You started an episode and didn't finish it. What the hell?
Dude,
You got to put some time aside.
you
for this
can't
show.
have your kids next to you. You can't have your
No,
wife talking to
no.
you. The Expanse
You
has
have to pay attention.
You have to be watch. You can't have your phone. You can't be messaging people on Twitter.
Nope.
You have to
You
just watch the show.
Because I'm telling you from experience, I did that, and I had to rewatch the first episode because I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I started the second episode. I'm like, I'm so confused. I started over.
That's one of
You
those
have
leave
to.
your phone on the charger somewhere.
Yep. And just be locked into that world because it is a awesome. I want to live there.
The dude
I
from
want to live in the world
the
of The
dude from
Expanse.
my work, he finally he's on season 6. He finally knows the characters' names. You can tell he's sucked in, but now he's almost finished.
Yeah,
He's got 4 episodes left.
And it ends so quickly.
Mm-hmm. But anyway,
it's not Game of Thrones, but it's kind of quick.
Not Terrell. Retro, did you start watching The Last of Us?
Nah, I muted you guys. I didn't want to hear any of that shit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't start the show yet.
We
didn't
give,
say shit.
We didn't give anything.
Yeah.
Even I don't even think you would find spoilers in anything we said. But you never know.
Like I haven't started it yet. Like
I thought you were
barely
going
have time
to.
to play the games that I want, man. Like I can't. I barely watch stuff really.
Yeah, I'm really conscious of like spoilers. It's funny because nobody ever gave a shit about spoilers. Like in the 80s, they told you the entire plot of the goddamn movie in the trailer. Literally, especially like Star Wars and shit. Like they all told you what was going on because they were trying to get you to come watch it. But today it's like, don't tell me anything. I don't want to hear shit. I'm gonna watch it and that's it. But yeah.
I know some stuff that happens and stuff. You can't avoid everything, but I know for most people, it's like there's no spoilers because they played the fucking game. I didn't play the fucking game, and
I didn't play the game either.
Well.
But
Yeah,
it
exactly.
got spoiled. The game got spoiled for me some years ago, and I'm like, fuck.
So I definitely know a few things, and now these days a little bit less, but I used to like watching some torture porn shit, so I know big shit that happens in the second game, for example.
Oh yeah, that's spoiled, and I wasn't even looking for that shit. That got spoiled.
Yeah, exactly. But like, no, when it comes to the show, like, as much as I like fucking hate the game and all that shit, I still want to watch the show, so I avoid absolutely everything still. The problem for me is just, I have Netflix, but I don't have like HBO and any of that shit, so I can just instantly watch what I want whenever I want.
Yeah, we take that for granted over here.
Yeah, Sandstorm admitted he was on his phone. Yeah, you just don't even watch the show if you can't.
So we already knew it.
If you can't just watch something without text or getting on your phone, don't even start the series seriously because you're going to miss so much.
You have to treat it like a game you've been waiting forever to play, and you just got. And everything gets shut the fuck down. I don't want to hear no wife. I don't want to hear no kids. I'm just gonna go play this. I'm gonna wait till midnight because nobody will fuck with me.
Trust me, there's shows where I'll during a commercial or something, I'll get out the phone and sometimes I'm messaging when it comes back. I'm like, I ain't too worried about it. Like I'm not that into this show. Like Better Call Saul. 2 seasons in, I just not get sucked into that show. I just couldn't care less, really. And I got to that point. I was like, I might as well just stop watching. Like, I just don't care about anything happening here. And I'm not saying that to be like rude. I'm just saying literally, you're not going to get anything out of The Expanse if you're not paying attention. Just like Game of Thrones, you can't just casually look at the screen unless you want to see some new girls or something. You can get a laugh. You're not gonna my buddy who doesn't like sit down and watch shows like that, his girlfriend at the time was just obsessed with Game of Thrones, and I was like talking to her constantly about it, and he's like, and I go, well, season 8's coming out. I said, Laurel, you're more than welcome to come over and watch it Sunday nights. Well, his ass got HBO Max after she said yes, because he didn't want her coming over. And he said he tried to watch it, and all he could do was just think about this cocky little dwarf, blah, blah, he ain't all that. Like, he was all, like, I wouldn't say intimidated, but you could tell he's like, he just couldn't get into Tyrion being like a ladies' man and stuff, because he's a dude's dude, and he thinks he's the hot shit, and he don't like other dudes.
Some people are so weird, man.
It is. this he ain't got so weird. He ain't pleasing those way about. Like, he's just so like.
How you know that? How you know that? I mean, I might be
like,
packing,
bro. Why are you so self-conscious? Why are you threatened by this fictional character?
It's weird. It's so weird. I know people like that. It's just weird.
Man, if I was in that universe, I'd be banging all these bitches.
He just can't get into stuff like that. So it's like that's why I never talked to him about movies or anything. It's just like he doesn't care. He'll watch a shit ton of stuff. He'll watch like every Will Ferrell movie, even the bad, like all the new bad ones and stuff. But you can't sit down and say, "Oh, dude, you see Blade Runner 2049? It was amazing." Like. But anyway. We should just talk about movies the rest of the podcast since Robert ain't here. He used to always end the final thoughts. Everything. The final thoughts. I saw this at the theater.
20 minutes of him talking about movies.
Dude, I had to cut him off. I said, nope. No movie talk. This is a gaming podcast.
He loved everything. It was all good.
Saw The Force Awakens for the 19th time.
Oh, God.
Sorry, Robert. That's where older, that's where you're not going to listen to your elders, or but they're telling you the right thing, and you should, because instead of going to see the same movie 17 times, just think of how many great movies you could have watched. You could have watched the whole Lord of the Rings extended edition, plus all the great movies of the past, like. No, you're gonna go see the same movie 17 times. It's just, and now he knows. Now he goes sees a bunch of movies every weekend, a bunch of different movies. He learned, but he was only like 17 or whatever, 8. He just working at the theater. He's just like, I'm gonna see it twice in one day. Shit, like, that's the stuff you learn as you get older. And like I said earlier, like I just know I don't have time with my job, with taking care of my house and my hobbies. I just don't have the time to watch every movie and play every game, so why even try?
I don't have time for bad movies. I'll watch people watch bad movies if it's funny, but I don't have time to
every once in a while I'll watch a movie everyone hates and I love it, so sometimes you have to watch just to know.
I usually know I usually get a feel for it, but sometimes you get surprised.
I'm not like now when it comes to movies, I watch the absolute top movies I want to watch, and I barely watch any movies because these days it's like, okay, I can watch this movie. It's like fucking 2.5 hours these days, or I can watch like half a season of this show. You know what I mean? Or I play like 10 hours and like finish half this game. It's like I just barely watch movies anymore.
And it's crazy because 2020, I looked at the releases. That was probably one of the worst, obviously with COVID. One of the worst years of movies. Time. Even 2021 was pretty bad.
Yeah, 2021 wasn't much better.
And I'm like I mentioned earlier, I put a lot of money into this theater room, and I'm not watching any new movie. I'm just watching the movies I already have. And then finally, I had enough kind of a backlog built up, and for about a month or so, I watched Last Night in Soho finally. I love that. I watched Knives Out. I love that. I didn't like Northman. God, I'm everything all everywhere all at once. I watched that finally, like all in the same in the span of time. X, that horror slasher movie. I was like, man, some good ass movies. Like, I'm glad I missed them because now I watch them all at home in succession. And I was just like, man, there was some good movies. I just I didn't go to the theater and I just didn't pick them up because it's hard to justify a $30 fucking Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray when you haven't seen a movie and you're not sure. So I usually wait till get a sale and then I'll take some chances. Like I just picked up Bullet Train. Like when I picked up Metroid Prime Remaster, I still haven't watched it yet, but I have it and I haven't seen it. I heard it's good. I might not
Oh,
like it.
Bullet Train.
Mm-hmm. I'll probably
I
think
like Bullet.
it looks okay. It doesn't.
I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Um, and that's just kind of
Yeah,
how it goes.
It was way smarter than I thought it was going to be. I'll say that as well. It was very surprising how everything kind of tied together.
Yeah.
It's really
I think
good.
in the last 4 months, I watched like 3 movies, and one of those was Knives Out, and the other was Glass Onion. Because I was like, man, this shit is so fucking good, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to watch it, but like I just barely, man.
But Ryan Johnson, before he did The Last Jedi, he was a very good director. I liked him. I liked this stuff. Brick is one of my favorite movies. What's the time travel one? Bruce Willis and
Looper. I see that
Looper.
to me one.
I thought Looper was dope. Like so.
That's one where I
He's
waited
got
till the
skills.
hype, where it was hyped up, and then I didn't really. I only
I
watched it
didn't know.
once.
I didn't know there was any hype for it. I just caught
By
it
the
on
time I
cable
saw
and-
it, everybody was talking, "Oh, Looper's so
Yeah.
good, it's so good," and then I watched it like, I don't know, but. And Donnie, the same. I went through a spell where I'd watch half the movie and get tired and then finish it, which is fine. But lately, I'm just like, I've watched a couple, maybe 3, 4 Saturdays ago. I think I watched like 3 movies just on a Saturday. I started in the morning. I watched, and one of them was a movie I've seen multiple times, which I'd drawn a blank on which one it was. It's just like, I don't know. Sometimes I kind of get to the point where I went through that phase where I was getting tired halfway through and finishing them the next day, and I kind of grew out of that right now. I'll probably get back. It's the time of year too. I think during the early part of winter, late part of fall, I kind of get in that when it starts getting dark early. That's usually when I start falling asleep. But Road Warrior again. I haven't seen the Road Warrior in a long time. That's another thing.
I just saw it a few months ago.
I watched Jaws
still
like
great.
from start to finish for the first time, probably, maybe even in my lifetime. I've seen the end 30, 40 minutes, like 20 something times, but from start opening credits to the end of the movie, that might have been the first time.
I
Never
didn't see
seen
Jaws until like 1995. Because I had grown up watching all the terrible ones.
Yeah.
Two's
on not
VHS. No. What's the one with Michael? What's his name? The British actor Michael
Caine. Was that Jaws?
Michael Caine. Yeah. That was Jaws 3D or some shit, right? That was terrible. And they asked Michael Caine, and it was like, Jaws 3D is a terrible movie. He was like, yeah. But the yacht that I bought with it was wonderful. He said the yacht that I bought with the money was pretty nice. And I just, you're a king. That was great.
And I mean, just sticking to movies, I found this. Her name's Jen Murray. She's Canadian, and I mentioned her last week. I don't know if it was after the podcast. Where I'm surprised. Usually, when somebody doesn't is a reactor, is like, I've never seen these movies. They're like, yeah, I usually just watch TV shows, or they're young. She's like 35 and just hasn't seen like almost anything outside of like Harry Potter, and I don't even know if she's seen The Lord of the Rings or not. But watching someone react, like I said before, it's like, if I've seen the movie, then I can kind of almost experience it for the first time through somebody else, and B, I kind of get a different perspective, and I find myself, I started watching a reaction to Jaws, and I'm like, I don't remember this opening.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop the reaction. I'm going to watch it myself, so it's inspiring me to watch movies.
Yeah. For the longest time, I started doing the old guy thing where I was just like, oh, these kids today, they have no culture, blah, blah,
they
blah.
don't appreciate.
But I'm like, when I was that age, there was a bunch of motherfuckers that didn't give a damn about anything around me too. Like they just didn't care about that shit. So it's like, and I know a kid, and I call him a kid. He's 25 years old. He does nothing but watch old shit and listen to old music, and I'm like, so those kids still exist today too. So I have to stop being unfair and saying it's a generational thing. I keep having to train
And the
myself to not do that.
classics still, I mean, still deliver for most people. Um,
Yeah,
that's why they're classic movies. Now, it's weird watching somebody like, I don't know, this girl just randomly popped up and she was watching Alien. She's never seen anything sci-fi in her life. Didn't know anything about airlocks. She was totally confused about how the ship could be in space and how sleep pods. Never even heard or fathomed like going into cryo sleep. And she even admitted she rewatched her to edit her reaction. She doesn't do her final thoughts until she's edited the video, which means she's watched the movie again through editing, and she's like, wow, I appreciate that so much more now that I understand like the basics of space travel and stuff. And it just blew my mind that someone who's like 20 something years old didn't even understand the concept of an airlock on a spaceship from separate you from space and in the atmosphere.
Wow.
It's like
Well, I
that.
mean, like, even if you don't understand it, you have to have that suspension of disbelief kind of shit. You
But
have
it
to
was such
just
an alien
sometimes just
concept,
you
though.
hear it. Yeah, but sometimes you hear it and you just have to accept it, you know? Oh, it's
Well,
even if you don't know the rules of space, as an airlock blows in space, okay, well, that's what it does, you know? You just, like, don't think about it.
you got to keep being reminded of that stuff. And I'm like, well, you think it's not their fault all the time. Because again, I hate to bring up Last Jedi again. But you watch Last Jedi, the motherfucker opens the airlock and like she just kind of floats in. I'm like, no, that's not what happens. It will suck everything the fuck out. And she's just like, I'm like, no.
Unless
So it's not all their fault.
the thing is that movies blow out of proportion, though, is the pressure. The Expanse is built around science, and it's only like 5 psi.
Mm-hmm.
So you could put your finger over a hole and stop an air leak on a spaceship. It's not going to suck your finger and
It's
you
not
through
do it. What was it?
It's
Alien Resurrection?
It's not going to be. They're holding on and they're flying. No, it's just going to be like, oh shit, all the air's gone, and it's like, or it's going to be a slow leak. So, and it's weird. Like I said, just the things people. Oh, that's a meme. Oh, I know that. I know I'll be back. I didn't know it was from this movie. So, it's weird. But like I said, classics almost always deliver. Even to young people, a 40-year-old movie can still like deliver scares and laughter, and so it just shows why they're classics. Like Rocky, for me, Rocky doesn't do much for me, but a lot of people still hold it in high regard, and it's
not the first one.
Yeah, the first one's pretty rough, I think.
Yeah.
I've never seen a single Rocky. I've never seen a single Jaws. I haven't seen The Godfather.
Oh my god!
I don't think I've only seen Godfather 1. I think I don't think I watched.
You've never seen Godfather 2?
I don't think I watched 2. I might have.
It's better than the first one. Are you fucking kidding? Oh man,
it's twice as good.
I'm not a.
Don't see 3 though. Don't mess with that.
I really just don't find like organized crime dramas like that interesting. It just doesn't do anything for me. I don't know what it is. It's just, to me, not anything, but a lot of stuff based on like, that's like borderline nonfiction. It's a fiction story, but everything else is real about the world they've created. I tend to lean more towards fantasy stuff.
That's how I was as a kid. I like the fantasy, I like the space stuff. So with Jaws, I'm like, it's a shark in the water. Like, I have Discovery Channel.
It's still good, though. It's about the people, not about the shark.
It's not even... You barely see the shark in the movie.
And one day I'll still watch but it's the same for me with Rocky. Like, I don't like boxing. It's boring. I'm like, I don't need to see 2 dudes in a movie boxing, like, I don't care. But I know it's a great movie franchise, and I still one day will probably see it. But, like, as a kid, I'm like, I don't want to watch this boring fucking shit,
And then over time, somebody Prince mentioned Terminator 2. I think I'm leaning more towards the Terminator being my favorite of the 2.
Ugh,
Terminator, it's hard because Edward Furlong hasn't aged well. His kid, I know he's supposed to be a kid. He's acting like a kid, but him teaching them the slang. Like it just doesn't hit anymore. It's corny to me now. Like
It hit a lot better in the
Hasta la
90s.
Vista, when I was 10 or
Yeah.
14 years old, it was
Yeah,
awesome.
I wonder what somebody today, first seeing that for the first time, what the hell is this Hasta la
Now
Vista,
he's just
baby?
kind of
What?
annoying.
I still like. He's still charismatic though. He has that kid
Yeah.
charisma, so it
But
works.
I mean, the first movie you didn't know who was good and bad. Like you know
No, that was one of the coolest things about it.
and that
It's like a horror movie, man.
it might have been that new girl I was watching reacting. No, there's this one I really liked, and as she's gotten more views, now she's trying to outsmart every movie because she watched Fight Club and predicted the twist like well before,
Wow.
and everybody like blew smoke up her ass. Oh my god, you're so smart! Now every single reaction since then, she's trying to figure out some twist, even if there's no reason to think there's gonna be a twist. She's
Right.
trying to figure out the twist. And it's so annoying that I can't even like. What was she watching? Just the other day I tried watching it. I'm like, I gotta turn this off. Like, there's nothing to figure out here. Just watch these two people and like interacting.
She wants that dopamine hit again.
You found a gimmick that made game.
And the Terminator, she's like, oh well, I figured this plot out like 5 minutes in. This is just a simple plot. Like, no shit.
Yeah, it's no, there's no trickery to the plot.
But imagine back in 80 whatever that came out, the idea
84.
No one had computers, so an AI taking over and robots. Yeah, there was stories like that before then, but no one even had a PC in their house, or a few people might have.
Like I knew people that had like the little the Apple IIs and stuff like that. Not in 84 though.
No,
84.
you had a disc with a big floppy disk. My buddy's dad worked for GTE. It's the only computer, and we had some really old ones in high school, or not high school, middle school. But you had to think about it. It wasn't trying. I mean, it was just revolutionary that a robot would go back in time and try to kill somebody to help them in the future war. Like back then, it's a simple concept to say, but it's. But anyway, we better get back to the game.
Yeah, we're way out in the woods. We're way out in the weeds.
Sorry, so yeah, Resident Evil.
Yeah, but real quick, to determine which one is better, Terminator or Terminator 2, which one had the most copycats? Which movie had the most copycats, Terminator 1 or Terminator 2?
I feel like
that.
I don't know. I could say one had a copy, not instead of just
Terminator 1 had the most copycats by far. Movies that just tried to do Terminator 1. There's one movie called Lady Terminator that is literally, I'm talking beat for beat, fucking the original Terminator movie, just with a lady.
I remember when I was a kid, Terminator 2 is the first one I saw. I didn't even know there was the first Terminator. And then at one point you hear, oh, there's a Terminator 1. And I'm like, wait, he's the bad guy in that one? Fuck! You know?
That's why they call it Terminator 2.
Why? And like, why are people think about this? What? James Cameron wrote this about an AI taking over, and that's like even more relevant today than it. I mean, 30 years ago. It's just...
And then some jackass who wrote a little short story that barely had anything to do with what James Cameron's movie is. I think it had a little bit to do with like the future war, a tiny little bit, and he gets a fucking credit. And James Cameron is pissed about that shit to this day. If you watch the original movie, some fucking nobody guy had to get a credit.
Jesus.
Because his story had, it's some bullshit.
But it's just like, that's where the context of the era, just like playing Star Fox for the first time, you might go back now and say, my God, this doesn't look good. Or
how did I play this shit?
Even Ocarina of Time. But when you think about it, if you're back then...
When it comes to... What?
Yeah, I was just gonna say you have to try to put yourself in the time it came out to appreciate. Like when I played Uncharted 2, it was the PS4 was either out or come. No, I might have had the PS4. I got PS4 with Uncharted. It was right before I knew I was thinking about getting it, so I played it on the PS3. But the PS4 was already out, so it was 2014.
Wait, what game?
Uncharted 2. Oh. I'm like, well, it doesn't look amazing by today's standards, but for a fairly early PS3 game or a couple years in, I was like, I can see why people thought this looked great. You know, like to my eyes now,
Yeah, and if
didn't
you're
blow
coming
me
from the
away.
first one, especially,
Oh
it
yeah,
looks so much better than that first
the
one is
jump.
unplayable.
It looks all right
So
on the remaster. I mean,
yeah, it
I
looks
didn't think
better on
it
the
looked
remaster.
terrible, but
But I mean the original PS3
hmm
version. Oof, that thing is rough.
So anyway, retro, were you gonna start saying something else
I
or?
was no, I was just gonna say still like because now you moved on to games, so I was like, okay, let me just not
Yeah,
say anything.
let's stay
But
on the
like I was
games.
just gonna say still about Terminator 1 and 2. I mean, personally, I think it's very easy. Like 2 is like one of the greatest sequels of anything ever made, and just the soundtrack alone and the T-1000 just blows one out of the complete fucking
Mm-hmm.
water. You can't. They're like liquid fucking robots, basically. Like the vision is just so fucking far beyond anything. I feel.
Yeah, like just the idea of AI. Like obviously there were somehow people were coming up with that shit even before then. I don't know why, like how, but Bing, I guess they have like an AI like um, search engine chat thing. It's called, and my buddy at work who's just like the biggest Windows fanboy. He's not an Xbox guy, but he's the biggest Microsoft fanboy I've ever met. He was trying to get everybody to buy a Windows phone back in the day. He forced anybody that was a little bit older, didn't know any better. He talked them into getting Windows phones, and he talked about this AI, the Bing chat. What is it? Is it called Bing chat? Dude, this like for weeks he couldn't
Oh
tell I
god.
didn't care. But at the same time, the things he sent, he's like, yeah, people can piss it off, and threatened it to. And I don't know if you're talking or text or typing or if it talks back. I haven't looked into it. I guess Linus did something on it. He's like, people were threatening it and got it to give it information it wasn't supposed to give. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Haven't we
The
seen the
fuck?
Terminator?
Oh man.
Why the F? Why have you seen the Matrix? Why are we doing this?
Well, these things are happening because they knew we were going to get to that point at some point.
But
That's just the way.
People don't believe it can actually go there, you know. I
Yeah.
like, you know, the internet is ruled by like 12-year-olds and always will be. So, you know, we're all gonna die because of
now you got
cheap.
deep fakes. What happens when AI starts deep faking people and there's no one to
Yeah, I remember watching. I hate to bring up a movie again, but I remember watching. What's the movie with Wesley Snipes and Sean Connery? Rising Sun. Watching Rising Sun and seeing that there's a scene in where they cut some guy's head off and paste it. Some Photoshop bullshit, and it's like all of a sudden he's perfectly moving around and acting like the guy that they pasted his head onto,
Mhm.
and it's like that shit's never gonna happen. That was so terrible. That'll never work. And look where we are today. God, you can totally fuck somebody's life up, using deepfake. You can't
Mhm.
trust anything. You can't trust. Oh, I
It's
saw I saw this video of you. No, you didn't. That wasn't me. Like everybody,
Yeah.
and
it's
Prince,
crazy.
they're already haven't you seen Boston Dynamics or Boston Robots or whatever? Is it Boston Dynamics?
Oh, uh, is it I think it's Dynamics. Yeah,
Check out those robots and tell me we're not building bodies that AI could go into. Um,
bro.
but
It's gonna
it's
be Ultron around this
anyway,
bitch.
it's funny because he's such a big Microsoft, and he wants them to like be the new search engine, Bing, and all that, be the new Google. He's talking up this AI for weeks. I mean, that's nonstop. It's all he talked about. Oh man, you asked this question, and it came up. Linus asked how many of its sweatshirts would fit in the trunk of a Tesla, and it came up with an answer. It was like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, well, I'm concerned about this AI being in all these people can
Yeah.
manipulate, but B, I don't care. What do I care? I was,
And it's not just physical; it's verbal too. If you watch Rogue One and you listen to Darth Vader's voice, it sounds like old. What's his actor's name?
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. Sounds like old James Earl Jones doing Darth Vader. Then you go watch Obi-Wan. It sucked the show.
and it
They did
sounded
an
like young.
AI thing, and it sounds just like fucking 77 Darth Vader. I'm like, this shit is insane, bro. Like, how did they do that?
And now I guess in Shazam, they deep faked Gal Gadot. Like, I don't know if they had her
Did they?
permission.
They had to, or they get sued.
Maybe she did. They pay her, but she's like, I ain't filming
No,
nothing.
yeah, well, I'm saying you have to pay for her likeness and shit for that movie.
It's like at that
So
point, what they couldn't just fly her somewhere for a day and have her put on a costume and act a scene.
yeah,
Like,
why didn't they do that to Henry Cavill in Shazam 1? Instead of just
Now
showing
they
that
probably
body double
would.
dude standing there. That was weird.
But it's like it's not in a good place. And finally, the dude at work finally realized. He goes, oh, I could use the Bing AI, or I got it on my phone now. It's on the app. It's working. If you're interested, I was like, all right, cool. And then like a week later, he goes, I could do the Bing chat, but or you probably don't care. And I'm just thinking, oh, you finally got it, huh? I didn't say it, but I just don't care about this AI chat. Like I just don't care. But I am concerned if they keep pushing stuff like that. Anyway, gaming.
Gaming, video games. It's a video game
So
podcast.
this year, let me get on Metacritic real quick because I forgot. I want to say Dead Space was like 87, 88.
I thought it was higher than that. No, maybe it was.
The remake.
Yeah, I know. Come on, man. I read the title.
And it was on sales. It was down to 50. And I just been spending too much money on a project I'm working on, and I held off. I wish I would have. I'm sure it'll be. Oh, it's at 89. So
Okay.
Dead Space remake is at an 89. RE4 reviews, which I guess some had to pull them because of something with the embargo. Something was messed up because I thought it came out a little early. But Dead Space 89, Resident Evil 4 93, and Metroid Prime Remastered 95. And it's like, first off, two GameCube classics, Resident Evil 4 and Metroid Prime, have both released within a month of each other, and they're getting just as high scores, almost as high as scores as they did back in the day.
That was also on the PS2.
And then Dead Space, which came out, obviously like 2008, that got a really good remake, great classic game. Is there anything else scheduled for this year? Well, we got the Advance Wars.
Full-on remakes, specifically?
Or remasters, like technically.
I know there's
Like,
at least one. I can't think of it.
Another GameCube one literally just dropped, like Tales of Symphonia, but they botched that one.
Yeah, I heard it.
Because they lost the code to the GameCube
Nobody
one.
talks about that one.
Yeah, that's why they're kind of sweeping it under the rug. But I mean, like, hello, fucking Button Kaitos is gonna come out in the summer.
Advance Wars is coming out.
They remastered the PS2 one, right, which was 30 frames and kind of crap. Yeah,
that's what I heard.
Yeah,
but and I don't want just old games coming out. I'm not like I'm one to like.
The difference when it comes to something like at least Resident Evil 4, where it's also a reimagining.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's a straight up remake.
Yeah, every review I listened to was like, I'm not gonna say anything about the story because they have changed a lot, and there's some amazing stuff in there. So that one's reimagined.
I really love that because first of all, they've been selling Resident Evil 4 and everything.
Yeah,
including your toaster and shit.
If it was just a better looking version, if it was just
5 years, yeah, right.
If it was what they did with Prime, just better visuals and everything the same, I would be zero interested.
Right, exactly. That's exactly where I was going. So, and it's different with Prime. Again,
it works for Prime though.
We've never played it except for on the GameCube. It's nothing else. So it literally just came back. Whereas Resident Evil, like, it's on fucking 3DS or some shit probably. I don't know. It's on everything.
I mean, the Switch, that's the only Resident Evil 4 you can play is the original. But
Prime was also on the Wii, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
That doesn't count.
I agree because it's a shittier version, but it's still there.
It's a shittier version.
With forced widescreen, which I'm learning from John from Good Vibes Gaming.
You just watched that too?
They force stretched a lot of those games.
You just, man, we watch the same shit, bro.
Hey, I'm thinking about I might as well homebrew my Wii U at this point, and just get access to that stuff.
Bro, what? Did you just say? Come on, man! I literally just bought another Wii U to do that with.
Really? I'm just gonna do it with my main one because why not?
Yeah,
it's gonna die anyway.
Right. Apparently. But you didn't see that video then, where there was a guy explaining
and he
that
fixed
this is all a bunch of clickbait bullshit.
I seen somebody where he fixed
it. Was very easy.
Yeah,
yeah,
seen that too. But yeah, So a lot of good remakes and remasters with Prime. They didn't need to do anything. That is, there's not even a. The only quality of life is just the dual analog
Mm-hmm.
option, the control options.
Which is pretty
Now,
cool thing.
there is some other stuff, but I don't know if that was in the HG trilogy or not, because I was talking to Clucked about this. They added a thing, they kind of babyfied it a little bit, but because they added a jump button when you're in Morph Ball. That was, I don't even remember it, but there's no way that was in the original one.
I
You
always
always had to like bomb
I
yourself
thought you
up.
used the bomb to jump. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought there
but
was
I
a
think
jump.
but I think two or
Oh wait.
three had it, and Clock had said that in the HD version, I think
Now I gotta
for the
go. Now I
Wii,
gotta
the
go back and check
trilogy, they
because I
put
don't
it in
remember.
there. But like, because I was playing it, all of a sudden I was like, "Hey, there's a fucking jump button now for the morph ball." Like, there's no way that was in the original Prime.
I just expected it to be there. I don't know. I can't say though if it was in the GameCube original, but it's to me it felt I was just expecting it. I pressed the button and jumped like immediately. So I don't know. I feel like on the Wii you had to like go like this with the remote or
Oh,
nunchuck.
that's why. That's what Clock said. Yeah, because on the Wii they added that so you could jump
But
in
I
morph ball,
Ah,
and that's why now they added a button to jump, but it
it
wasn't
doesn't
in the original
eliminate the
Prime.
need for the stack and the bombs to get power ups. It
you
just
still need it. Yeah.
it
It
only
makes it a lot easier.
no, I mean I wouldn't
I
make
used to stand no because you can already go higher now than you could before, and yeah, it saves a lot of time. It makes it easy. You can just jump in and go in there instead of like time it from the beginning. Trust me, I do that shit. Like it's
I
way
still because
easier
you
with
got
the
to
jump
jump
button.
planet and then time your jump, but then you have to
Yeah,
still do the either way. I guess I'll take your word on it. To me, if it, I just expected to be able to jump, so it didn't feel off.
Yeah.
Um, just makes sense. Why should I have to drop? Why would Samus have to drop a bomb to get out of a hole while in Morph Ball? Like
Yeah.
that to me was
I
always
know.
a
I was more thinking, how can she jump as a
well.
morph?
You can jump in the original game in the Morph Ball, can't you?
I don't
Maybe not
remember.
the
I really.
original.
The original game I don't remember, but in
Definitely in
Prime One I
Dread.
saw
I gotta
you
go back and
couldn't.
try that now.
You get the Morph Ball or jump in some games. You have to get it as a power up. Some games you get it with the Morph Ball. I'd be curious which ones have it, but either way, um, see that game they didn't need to change anything. Like, but if RE
And
four,
I like the fact that one thing I do like is that it's a better looking game than even Prime Hack. You guys know
yeah,
what Prime Hack is? Like it even looks better than Prime Hack. So I like that fact as well. That
and it kept the art
they
style.
didn't just upres it, and which is something they could have easily done.
Yeah, because
Just kind of upres it.
if they just upresed it and maybe added some AA or something, I mean, it'd have been
Yeah.
fine. But it, you
And
know,
I feel they fine tuned some things also. I feel, for example, I got the heat visor as one of the last things I got, I think, and it feels way more useful because I feel the black is way more black than it used to be. So I find myself using the heat visor way more. Like there's more use in it, for
well, we really don't
example.
have to use it in the sunken ship area where the lights go out. I really and then define the little spots on the wall that you can hit to if their power's out and you hit them with the wave beam. But I don't know. It's like it's a
Oh, you
really
mean the original Metroid One,
oh,
like NES,
I
or are you talking about Prime One on
oh you can't.
GameCube? Well, I
Th-
know you can't jump in
you've been able to jump
NES.
in other 2D games in the morph ball.
Not that I
Like
remember.
I said, I don't think so.
2D ones I don't remember
maybe
it.
I'm just thinking of Dread because I do it all
Yeah.
the time. Either way, whether they edit it or not, I would say that it would be a quality of life because I mean
Yeah,
it's just tedious. Then I got to get out of this. I fell. I got to get out. Now I got to plant a bomb just to get out of this little spot. It's like that's a pretty bad design. You have to have the bombs.
I don't
In
think you can jump in Super Metroid. I do not remember this shit at all.
I'm so used to it. Like I swear. But you said boot it up and then you have a save file in the original at the very end. Um, but either way, the point of the like Dead Space, they actually made it an open like you could backtrack. You could everything was connected. It wasn't like once you get on the train, you can't ever go back. Like so. But it stayed very true to the original in most other ways. But I also think horror games, which Metroid Prime's almost like a survival horror game if you really
Yeah, it
think
is.
about it.
Oh
Especially,
yeah.
I feel like
yeah,
those
especially Prime.
benefit more from like a remake, remaster, visual, whether it's a visual overhaul or not. I feel like those benefit more because it just, especially a horror game. I mean,
Yeah.
the more visceral the visuals, the more horror it can be. You know, like the
Yeah.
lighting,
Yeah,
uh,
the lighting
having
specifically.
dynamic lighting with your flashlight. You know, like that can really elevate a game. And the only thing about RE4 I've seen that doesn't look good is the rain at night. It just looks like white. It almost looks
Still
like
have a
a
problem with the
graphic
rain.
novel. Like it looks.
Well, they said that they were going to fix that. I think.
Maybe, hopefully they did because I
'Cause
thought that
yeah,
looked
I think
terrible.
people were complaining about the rain in the demo, and they were like, "Yeah, we know about it, and we're looking into
Also, there's something
figuring
off
out
with the
this."
hair with the if you have the console versions with the hair strands on, the lighting hits it, and his hair looks like
Yeah.
white instead of natural. But either way, it's an exciting time. I wish I would have picked up Dead Space because I'm sure it's back up to 70. Um, Luckily, RE4 is 60 for the standard edition. You know, brand new on PS5 and Series X. And then Metroid Prime was 40. Do we know what the double pack of Bait and Kaitos is going to be?
I'm guessing 60. It might be
I've,
50.
they haven't said anything about it
Wait,
yet.
wait, double pack.
I thought I heard somewhere 45, but I don't. I found it hard to believe. But
Double pack?
I don't
It
think you
comes with
know that.
both
Yeah, the
games.
double pack.
They're putting Origins in there? I didn't know that.
Man, get the
I
fuck out! Out
completely
of
missed
all
that.
people, you man. Out of all people,
I
man.
completely
Yeah.
missed that they're
No,
throwing Origins in there.
it's a double pack 1 and 2, and both got the exact same treatment. You know, they both look fucking gorgeous and shit. They're both in there. They showed the
Well,
box art
technically,
and
it's
stuff
1 and
also.
0.
That's where they can go next with Resident Evil. Go to 0 because no
Yeah.
one wants 5. I don't think remade.
Well, I think 0 is nobody's favorite
But that's one
Resident
they could
Evil.
reimagine and really fix.
That's true. Yeah.
Zero is one of the 2 games I ever returned in my life, man. I only returned
You
2 games
returned
in
it.
my life.
It
And
ain't
Zero,
that bad.
I always regretted it, but that game
Yeah.
was pissing me off when I started playing
I got a
it. I'm
little
like, I
bored.
give it
I
a
didn't like
shit.
the direction they were taking with
Yeah,
it.
I found it a little bit boring, but
I
I
wouldn't
didn't think it
mind
was
seeing that main
bad.
character kind of remade for the new RE engine.
Code Veronica.
That's
There's
another
one.
one. I
That's a
literally
really
played
good
that
one.
through once. I don't even know if I started a second playthrough. I enjoyed it.
I had a friend who was obsessed with that game.
That's crazy
Obsessed.
because before that came out was like, what was the Resident Evil clone that came out before? Because everyone's like, oh, we got a Resident Evil style game on the Dreamcast. I'm like, oh, I might get it, and then it was.
I have it.
Did it have Blue in the title?
Yeah,
No,
it's Blue Stinger.
was it Blue Stinger?
Blue
Yeah.
Stinger. Yeah, I have it. Yeah. It's a clone in name only. That shit is not Resident Evil. That shit
But
is
Veronica, man, that was
wonky.
great, and I probably traded in for $2. I found a receipt I took to EB Games, and I got like $2 for a bunch of Dreamcast games. And I was like, why? Just hold on to it for $2 freaking. That's stupid,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, they could totally do 5. I don't know about 6 though. 6 still have such a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know if I even care. But they could fix it.
Well,
I
the
guess.
thing is, they have two teams. It's like Call of Duty. Like they have the A team, which did 2 and 4, and they have their B team, which did 3. Which 3 had a rush time line, which I don't know what if that was it or just the team. So I don't know. I don't want. I mean, obviously they can't just keep doing it. You know, you got 6 and 7 and Veronica and 0 basically, unless they want to do like.
I mean, that's a decade later by that point, you know.
Like then you have 7. It's gonna get remade. Just
Yeah,
do
exactly.
just do
By
a
that
third
time, they're gonna
person
redo
mod or
8.
something, or a third person mode, like they did in
Then they're
Village.
gonna redo Resident Evil 1,
Oh
but like
yeah,
the original one, you know, not like the new
they
one.
can do Resident
Yeah.
Evil, like they did Resident Evil 2. I wouldn't mind that actually, because the GameCube remake is just the same, you know, kind of.
Yeah. It looks really good.
It looks
but
really good.
It's the same game.
I mean, they
So
made 5 different versions of The Last of Us fucking 1. If you have like 20 Resident Evil games, you can
they
go
made.
on for quite a while.
Oh God.
Speaking of,
Last of Us
I picked that up for 45. The part 1
Part 1.
new.
Yeah, just wait. Just wait. You know,
Just keep giving them money, man.
Hey, A $70 game, got it for 45. I'll take that because I wanted it anyway. I wanted a physical copy of the game, and I haven't started it, but
It wasn't worth 70.
no
It's not worth
remake.
45 either.
I don't even like paying 60 for some, but like the reimaginings for sure, I have no issues. The Resident Evil games, even though for 3 I waited, I paid $15 for it because I knew that they didn't do as good
Yeah,
of a
that thing
job.
dropped super quick in price.
But yeah, because it's crazy. I'm not one to replay a lot of games and stuff, but and then sometimes I feel like Shadow of the Colossus. Like, did I need this? You know, I played it. I probably never touch it again. But
It was a fantastic remake, though.
$40, they did it justice. And I'm like, it's just kind of a game by game for me as far as like what I want to do. Like Ocarina of Time, I don't want them to just put a new graphics engine like they did for Prime and leave everything the same. You know, like that one I almost want a reimagining.
All right, so what about the rumored F-Zero GX?
Oh, that's
Man, that one pisses me off, man. I've been fucking ranting about
See,
that
I'm worried,
shit.
like I said in the chat, like, are they going to try to recreate those cinematics or are they just try to upres that? Because
People are saying that shit. Yeah, I
it's
got like
pre-rendered. You
Motherfucking
can't just
studio and shit,
remaster
Well,
it.
the
reanimated.
original assets might be of a higher resolution. You got to remember
But they
that.
it's still motion. It's just video. They're still just
Look,
like they're not going to
this
go
whole
in
point-
and remake the cinematics.
No, I'm saying they could be 720p files of those CGI renders.
Could
this
be,
whole
but it's still
fucking
not going
thing
to
is
look.
just
It's not gonna look
Call-
great. I mean, we're talking about the Switch anyway, so you're not gonna get like 4K. So does it really matter?
this
Not
whole
really.
fucking thing of Zero just pisses me off, man.
Why does
People
it piss you off, Rick?
Because everybody, they need to test the water. It's fucking F-Zero. They didn't need to test shit. It's been goddamn 2 decades since the last fucking game. You still put Captain Falcon and goddamn Smash
Wait, I
all this
understand.
kind of shit. Like,
Test the waters,
fucking
what do you mean?
release a new game.
Oh, you mean you just want a new game?
They need a new game. They're like, oh, no, because now it's not even like a remaster. They want a remake. Like you guys said, people want new teams to reanimate the cutscenes, bitch. Then you can fucking just make a new game. If you want to look at HD current gen shit, make a new fucking game. But then they have to hire level designers. What fucking high level designers then?
Who's
They've
gonna
gotta
make?
even
That's what I'm
test the
saying.
water for
Who's
F-Zero and
Who's
shit?
actually gonna make F-Zero? Who can make F-Zero that you be confident that is gonna be?
Yeah, they
that's
almost
F-Zero?
gotta do what they did for like Crash and stuff, where they build a new engine, just use
They
the
don't
tracks.
know. They don't know what to do with it. They have
Get
no
your-
idea. It's like, yeah.
Get acclimated to the franchise and the controls. That's why I think X makes more sense than GX, because X didn't have the cinematics. That's where it's like, if you throw those out in higher
Yeah,
higher
but
res,
X
it's
also
still
didn't
gonna.
have any textures.
Well, yeah, you could still use the core game, the core track designs, and
They
just
don't
put a new
need
graphics
to
engine.
they don't need to change shit or reinvent the fucking wheel. Make a new F-Zero, new tracks, add a few vehicles, and give it goddamn online. Like that's it. You don't need to fucking reinvent.
I would
the
rather,
wheel.
if they're gonna
It's
give
gotta
it,
have online. It's gotta have online.
if they're gonna give it to somebody that's
32
they're not
cards.
sure about, I wouldn't mind them starting with all right, just build a new graphics engine that will be for the new game, and just apply it to the code of GX or whatever, and we'll put it out there. Like I wouldn't be. I'm not saying that's better than a new game, but at the same
There's
time,
2 reasons why I fucking hate this idea of testing the water. One, like I said, it's been 20 fucking years. Give me a new goddamn game. And 2, let's say they test the waters. The game sells like 100,000. They're like, no, fuck it. We're done forever now. Bitch, it's been 20 years, and now after 20 years, you're killing it off, you know? Like, that's
well,
what they fucking
if it come
did
out
when
on
I was-
Switch, it would do 1 million.
How many you think Prime sold? Remastered.
Right now, I would guess over 1 million, but I don't
It's
know.
over 1 million. It's easily over
Yeah.
1 million. So what I'm saying is, that
gonna
theory
sell
is
either
not bad
way.
to do. It's not if they put it out there and it sells them. How you don't know that? You know
But
you know
I-
that
look,
I
that's the
want it
thing.
really
It's
bad.
gonna
You want
sell
it really
either way.
bad. What 5 other
But
people you know
here's
want
the
it?
problem, though. Here's the problem, though. If you do a full remake of X or GX, it's gonna look current gen, you know. Why would they release a new one at any time? We're still fucking playing Mario Kart 8 goddamn 10 years later.
Say, you talking about that, and we still playing Mario Kart 8, motherfucker. So
Yeah,
what are you
that's what
talking?
I'm saying, you know? Like, so no, I don't want to fucking, like, remake.
I don't want it, but what do you expect
know?
them to do? You expect them to do a remake over a new game?
No, I want a new fucking game over
No.
a goddamn
I'm saying,
remake.
what do you expect them to do?
With a new game?
No. What do you expect them to do? New game or remake?
But I mean, like, I'm going to say
You
personally, I
don't even
expect
wanna
them to do
answer
a
it.
new game. I don't know. I would expect them to do a new game. I don't
Why?
understand them because
What
I don't
evidence?
I don't
logic
expect it
behind
either.
No, I have no
What-
evidence.
What evidence would give you the idea that to expect a new game of F-Zero particularly and specifically? They didn't
didn't
even know
release
what
a
to
new
do.
Advance
They
Wars.
didn't even make that last one. They fucking Sega made that shit. They don't know what to do with it.
I fucking hope Sega makes a new one too.
Same thing with
the best
Star
F-Zero
Fox.
there is.
Same thing with Star Fox. Namco made the last
Star Fox
the last new Star Fox, I should say.
Star Fox has been lost for the last 3 fucking games, man. Like
I don't even count Zero because that's just a reimagining of fucking
So
Star Fox.
why don't you
64.
want Advance Wars 3? Why are you okay with 1 and 2 remake?
We all said, look, I don't care what you guys say.
Exactly.
We all the exact same reaction for Advance Wars. Oh, fuck yeah, I knew Advance Wars. Ah, shit, it's a fucking remake.
That's true.
I'd rather have Battalion Wars. Nobody played that shit. Why don't you remake that motherfucker?
But I don't have a problem with the concept of testing the waters for a dormant, dead franchise.
That's what I'm saying. It's been 20 years.
Like I said, the guys who did Dread, guess what they started with? A remake of Samus Returns, so they could get their feet wet, get used to the world of Metroid, and work with Nintendo.
Well, technically, they started with Batman. What's the Batman game on 3DS? Which was basically a Metroidvania.
Yeah,
they started with that game.
But I'm just saying, there's no F-Zero team anymore.
Here's the problem with your Metroid example. People can be like, oh, it's been 19 years since a 2D Metroid. You know, okay, yeah, we remade 2 and stuff. It's all new, okay. But what looks like Metroid Samus Returns? Nothing. It's a unique remake of a whole thing. You're saying now, rebuild GX from scratch, current gen. Why would they make a new game then? Why would they?
Well, they wouldn't have to.
Well,
they wouldn't have to mix.
To make. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, with Metroid, they rearranged some things just because it was a Game Boy game. They wouldn't have to do that for a racing game. They would just make the tracks and the vehicles in the new graphics engine to get to not just test the waters for the audience, to get acclimated, because there is no F-Zero team. It's been 20 years. There's no F-Zero team just waiting to make a game. There's no team.
That they trust is like Shinin.
So who are you going to give it to? Just out of nowhere, just going to make an F-Zero game without any kind of, unless you get Shinin or something. Like you can't just
fucking want them.
You can't just pull an F-Zero out your butt. Like you got to start somewhere.
Who's the company that was rumored on the Wii U to do it, or they tried to get him to do it? It's the EA guys, right? The racing team.
Oh,
EA.
Criterion.
They were going to have Criterion do one for Wii U, and that they didn't have time or something.
I don't understand why you guys think that nobody can fucking make an F-Zero game. You know what to do. You have an indie guy right now, Arrow GPX is coming out. He's making an F-Zero game all the way by himself. You know, you don't fucking need space knowledge and $5 quadrillion. It's F-Zero. You make fucking hovercrafts on a track. It's not science. You know, it's not like rocket science.
F-Zero is not Wipeout.
Just because you make it doesn't mean it's gonna be. Just because that dude's making it doesn't mean it's gonna be good. It's not about getting the game made. It's about getting the game a genuine F-Zero experience.
Made. People can fucking do that shit. Like we keep saying, Sega made the fucking last one.
No.
So all those futuristic racers that have come out, remember we were excited about that one for Switch that came out like 2 years later.
Did it come out? I don't even remember.
Was that a good game? You know?
Nope.
Probably not. Like you want it to be great. You don't want it just a game to get made. The point is you want somebody to come to make a game that's going to be great and live up to the F-Zero. That's not just pull it out your butt and make it. It's not just type some code and it happens. It's gotta be done right, and that's what I'm saying.
It's easier to get a team and say,
I'm not against.
Here's the foundation. Build on top of this shit. You know, use this engine or use a the setup here.
Like what Clock did said. He didn't say it exactly like this, but I don't care. Have the fucking Mario Kart guys make it.
They're too
Zero
busy.
Tracks and
They're
Mario
busy.
Kart are
Too
fucking
busy
fun.
making DLC for you.
They're busy making
Mister
a whole
getting
new
excited
game
for all the
and
DLC.
old ass game.
You think like the entire crew who made the original Mario Kart 8 are now all still doing the DLC like 5 months
Maybe.
before it's over? Like,
Maybe. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Like,
I mean,
they
they're making
have
new
people who can
courses
make it.
and
You
new
can have them make
characters.
it. You can have like fucking Sega make it. You can have anybody make it. It's
Do you
fucking
think-
F-Zero. You don't need to
Sega?
reinvent
Again,
shit.
Did you just say Sega?
Do you think anybody who made F-Zero
No.
GX works for Sega?
No.
No, why no? If fucking Sega made GX, they made
100 years
Sonic
ago.
Racing.
Yeah, you
They
think
made
any of those
Sonic
people are
Racing
still
and
Those
there?
shit.
guys are not around
There's nothing
anymore.
wrong with
It's
that.
just
No.
like the GoldenEye
It's Yuji
team.
Naka just went to jail.
The
But
GoldenEye
but
team
that's-
is no longer
that's
at
like
Rare.
that's like saying nobody can make a new Mario because people made the original Mario are
okay,
dead. You're
that's
always
not-
gonna have
close.
We're
that.
not saying that, but what we're saying is it's way riskier to have some new team come in and make this game that you're testing the waters with. You don't want to do that.
I give a shit. I don't want them
because
to
if it's
test the
not-
waters.
Okay, but that sounds great. They're not gonna go out there and make fucking F-Zero, a new F-Zero game after 20 years with some new team. Because if it sucks, you won't see another F-Zero for 40
They're
years.
doing it with Pikmin. What's the difference?
But
The person
Miyamoto
who
is
made
still,
Pikmin is still involved. Like, it's not
Yeah,
just
what are you
like...
talking about?
It'd be
he's
like
still
20 years
alive.
from now.
20 years since Pikmin 3.
What?
Like Pikmin 3
It's
came
It's
out
been
in
nine,
90s.
or not
Yeah,
even
well, there
9
you
and a
go.
half.
Yeah, 9.5 years. It hasn't been.
And-
At this point, it's been like what 6
Nah.
years since the last.
You don't
3D
think
Mario?
anybody works at
Like, it's been
Nintendo
like
that
fuck-
made a 2D
What's
Mario
the
game?
last time we got a? Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. What's the last time we had a fucking 2D Mario game? You know, like so. What you guys gonna say? Oh, we better remake new Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, no, but nobody wants that
Wii
shit.
U Deluxe 5 and shit.
Nobody wants the 2D Mario after all the new.
Well,
Super Mario.
2012, so
2D
it's been
Mario.
11
Fuck
years.
Yeah.
But that
Not
team
no damn. not
worked
the
on
2D
Mario
No,
Maker
but
1.
the point still stands. You say, "Oh no, we can't get a new Mario game now." You know, it's been
Well,
like
excuse
fucking
me,
50
excuse me.
years. Gotta be the remake.
Mario F-Zero down on the floor somewhere.
Yeah,
Mario, they're gonna put
People
more
keep
into
saying
that shit.
No,
Yeah, it's
people
the
keep
facts.
saying that. No, I don't buy that shit.
I
no.
love F-Zero, but
Nintendo-
F-Zero is nowhere near what Mario is.
Nintendo things have always been the same. It never changed. You could still put Star Fox on that fucking list, and even you.
Yeah,
like,
I love Star Fox too
Like-
I
bad.
know.
It's way down here when it comes to Mario.
Okay, and even
and hell,
you
even
say the
Metroid.
best. Even you say the best Star Fox in the last fucking 20 years is gonna battle for Atlas. Ubisoft made that
Ayers
shit.
made a good point. GX was made by Sega's amazing arcade team.
Right, the arcade team.
It's
Like,
not just
Those
because
guys don't exist anymore.
Sega made, like, unless you have people who are involved in the core creation of F-Zero working on it, and then you hire another
Right.
team to help with coding, that would be something.
Yeah,
But
then we can talk.
still,
But you want some nobody team to make a new F-Zero after 20 years? Man, you
It
crazy.
doesn't matter who fucking makes it. Like I don't
You just
care.
want a name on a box.
you don't care if it's great, you just want
I
it
just
to.
want a new F-Zero game. Like
Okay,
that
okay,
game-
well-
that game's changed all the fucking time.
Okay, that changes everything then. Okay. You just want the name slapped on the box. It could be trash. I just want a new F-Zero.
Game, but, like,
Go play Nintendo Land. You want to play F-Zero?
Right, go play that. Because that's what it
fucking
could be.
Nintendo Land is goddamn amazing.
It could be that. 20 frames per second, slow ass.
Do you have to tilt the gamepad?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I played that once or twice.
Yeah,
I
didn't
don't.
play it for very long.
Let's pivot here since I brought up Nintendo Land. I'm really shocked that I'm like the only guy out of the group who just like thought Nintendo Land was just a total kind of just like filler proof of concept and it had no real merit. I was so bored with that game. I invited a whole group of friends over. Hey, we gotta play the Wii U. We're playing all Call of Duty game nights. Let's try the Wii U. We got all this asymmetric gameplay. Literally 30 minutes in, we played all the ones you could play with the multiplayer. Because I had the Wii remotes, I had Pro Controller, I had the gamepad, and they just start looking at me and was like, "What else you got?" And I mean,
Yeah.
group of
nothing.
4 or 5 adults, man. Because
Mass Effect 3.
the Luigi's Mansion was so easy. Whoever was the ghost with the gamepad won every time. maybe with kids it would change, but with
It's just
adults,
about having fun. Yeah, but the ghost, that's if you have
there's no
multiple people,
challenge.
you're
It's
three
just they
versus
won
one.
so
No
Man,
challenge.
easy.
yes, there was.
No, there
About
was
the
not.
fucking the Mario on the Toads,
The
the Animal
Mario
Crossing shit
running
on the
one, what
hills
was
and
that one
stuff.
I was
called?
gonna say Mario Chase. That was
The
really
Mario Chase, that was
the
fucking
one
good,
game my kids
man.
played
The
the
co-op
most
ones were
was
pretty
Animal
fun.
Crossing. We
Yeah,
played
the
Animal
Animal
Crossing.
I don't
Crossing
even
co-op
remember
was
that.
fucking
and
fire, man.
Zelda and the Zelda
The
one.
co-op ones had a little more to them, the Metroid and the Zelda, but I mean, literally 30, 40 minutes. And we're like, what else? I got Trine. That's 3 players. And like I just kind of thought more people thought like I did.
Well, you digging in the bottom of the barrel. You just bring up
Trying
Trine for
to,
your
I
Wii
trying
U.
to, but that was
Trine
fun.
2.
We actually had
No, it was a
fun
great game. But I'm saying that's how bad it was.
solving puzzles
to
together,
bring up
man. We
Trine
actually
2.
had a great time, but
Wait, why is trying too bad? Why is
I'm
that
not
above
saying
the
it's
No.
bad. I'm
barrel
talking about
now?
for Nintendo. You got to go to Trine 2 to get a cool multiplayer experience on your fucking console. That's what I'm
luckily
saying.
I had that.
Nintendo Land was
We even
great
tried
fucking
Zombie
multiplayer
U's
shit.
No, it
like
wasn't. No, it was not.
I thought T.
It
I
was
thought
fun for a few
Man.
minutes. It was fun
oh
for a
T.
few
You were with
minutes here and
me.
there.
I thought you
Oh
were.
yeah.
I thought
Oh
you were with the
no.
other guys
No.
and thought I was crazy.
I always said what killed fucking that game is no online multiplayer. That shit needed online multiplayer.
I think what killed that is I don't think it would have. I mean, most of those games wouldn't have been any more fun with multiplayer. They would have had to patch and
I
balance
think
some
the
stuff.
Metroid game was pretty cool.
A couple of those could have been, but like the
Man, I was
Luigi's
laughing
Mansion.
nights after nights
I think
playing
Zelda
that
was cool.
shit,
I think
chasing the
that was a
toads
cool
and
game.
stuff. Like, you guys are killing my soul, man.
I'm just like,
Yeah, I hear people talk about it all the time. I do not dislike Nintendo Land. I like it.
I thought it was
But it's
solid.
not.
Like
Yeah, it's a solid game, but it's
6.5,
not
7 out
what.
of 10 maybe.
Clearly, it didn't sell Wii U's. So,
And like, I would have, this is me personally. I would have taken four
I mean, nothing sold.
four games that were like had way more depth than all of the mixture of all. Like, we're gonna hit every franchise, and some of this is so like fluff. Like the F-Zero game, like it's. I mean,
I barely.
it almost felt
barely
like
played
mobile, like a mobile game. Some of those felt like
Oof.
mobile games,
Whew.
and that's kind of what they're.
I really like the Donkey Kong. Like that's a single player game though.
That was
I love
tough,
that Donkey
but
Kong shit. That shit was tough, and it was challenging and fun. But as far as multiplayer goes,
see, Retro doesn't
Yeah,
like
I'm with
Fast
you.
Racing Neo. If you don't like that, I mean, what? That's
Because
probably.
I always said a fast
What?
racing Neo because fast racing Neo, I've said it over
It's
and I'll
not
say it again,
F-Zero.
is a wipeout game. If people think fast racing is an F-Zero game, you never
Man,
fucking played F-Zero in
if
your
Fast
life.
Racing woke up and ran like Wipeout, it would kill itself. That slow ass bullshit.
No, when
Wipeout
I
is
talk
nowhere
about it,
near.
it's the way the vehicles control and the way the levels are designed. It
No,
is a
Yeah, there's
fucking
no
wipeout
there's
game.
no 90-degree
completely
turns.
disagree. Completely disagree.
There's nothing to disagree. This is a fact. If
No,
you
it's
drive,
not a fact.
if
It's your
you drive
opinion.
a vehicle, look, if you drive a vehicle in F-Zero, you turn to the right, you go to the right. If in Wipeout you hit the right, your vehicle goes like this, and it's completely different controls.
Wipeout is super floaty. It's nowhere near anything.
Wipeout it controls
But
the
fast,
same, man.
I would say they don't have the sharp 90-degree turns, which is kind of the trademark of F-Zero. But
Yeah.
I would say it was like a blend of.
Well, that's still a better pick than random whoever team. Like, at least I'm in the ballpark. It ain't perfect.
Have
Ain't
the
the
Sonic
perfect pick.
team make it? They're
That's
good at
who's
rail
left
grinding.
Sega. That's who's left at Sega because the arcade team is no longer there.
F-Zero, you'll have three track choices, and there'll be an
I don't remember
obstacle.
the
You have
name
to
of
jump
that-
to the
that
left.
team.
There'll be an obstacle. You have to jump to the middle, to jump to the right to avoid. That would be their
You
F-Zero
guys,
game.
you guys should just go fucking play Call of Duty on your Steam decks and shit. What the fuck?
I will say F-Zero X. I played that
AX, right? That was the arcade one. That shit was
the once or twice I've
beautiful.
actually booted up the N64 online. I played F-Zero X for once. and,
Anybody play AX?
No.
I think AX was Japanese. I think it was mostly in Japan, but there were a few here. I remember playing it at fucking somewhere, one of those family game arcade places a long time ago. But you could take your fucking memory card and bring over. That shit was that was some beautiful shit. That was great that you could do that. I love when they did that with before that with Pokemon Snap, where you could take your memory card and you take your Pokemon and print out pictures and shit at the booth. That was some cool
Remember
ass
taking
shit.
your DS to Walmart to get some exclusive stuff, and it was like
Yeah,
just, but most of the time it was just like a demo that
it wasn't
nothing.
anything, but it was just cool to have that interaction.
Animal Crossing New Leaf did the same thing. You could go to specific locations with the 3DS
Yeah.
and download like via their Wi-Fi, like rare furniture and shit like that.
That's cool. It's asking you to think. It's asking you to touch grass, basically.
AX is in the GX version, but hard to get, unlock.
Yeah, I remember hearing that AX is actually in GX.
Well, you know why I don't want that game remastered? GX, getting back to that. So I don't need to see
because you don't like
Captain Falcon thighs like clipping through each other. Like it's so stupid. I hate that kind of I hate those character designs, those extreme proportion or not proportion. Is it proportions? I think so.
Yeah.
It just didn't do anything for me. I hated.
Man, that shit was great.
Hated
man.
those cutscenes.
A bit cartoony ass dudes.
And it's like it was. If no one, I don't think anyone else has played Devil May Cry 5, but just you want to talk about just random story cutscenes like in GX, like you like walk into like a bar at one point.
Yeah, I have 5.
But Devil May Cry 5 just has random cutscenes that have nothing to do with anything.
Nothing to do with anything.
And that's what I felt about GX's cutscenes. Like, I get it, you're trying to expand and make it more than just a racer, but
they're trying to do something, give it a little flavor. Get all those characters.
Just felt like they were trying too hard to make Captain Falcon cool.
You didn't have to watch it. You could skip that shit,
I probably did.
I loved having it. Basically felt like having like Nintendo movies, man. Seeing like Captain Falcon get into the car and shit, seeing all the races there, everybody walking around, man. Shit was amazing.
I liked it because it made it feel like it was more than just you're in some kind of cart. And
it's like world building shit, you know.
That was kind of like
you're a curmudgeon, man. You're a little curmudgeon.
Kind of similar.
Like, it's not like they didn't do that before on the Super Nintendo. You got like a comic with it, like in the booklet. There was like a comic, basically.
Yeah. That's where it comes from. That's where all that extra shit comes from. They didn't just make it up.
Now we should start talking about movies again. We had like twice the viewers. We're talking about movies. Start talking about F-Zero, and everybody left.
Exactly. Nobody wants to hear all this fucking Nintendo hate from you fucking ponies over there and shit.
I asked a question. Retro, you were the only one that answered, talking about remakes. How many screenshots of Metroid Prime Remastered? I didn't verify, so I don't... It's between... You said 87?
That was my first guess.
It's between 6 and 8.
Wait. No, fuck off.
Wait, what?
Between 6 and 8
how many
screenshots?
Yeah. And here's why.
I took more before I even landed on Talon 4.
Here's why. It looks really impressive. More than I thought they could do for a Switch game at 60 FPS, no doubt about it. Looks beautiful. But it's like I said years ago. I've already seen so much in a first-person science fiction, action, platforming games.
Yeah.
You're not wowing me beyond, hey, this is, how did they do this on Switch? Like, and that's what I said about Metroid Prime 4. I don't care what they do. At this point, I've seen so much. You
say that, though, but if that shit comes out and it has this crazy new gameplay, because that's what I'm looking for. It's not going to be probably overly impressive visually, but I think they're like, well, what kind of cool shit we can do in the gameplay department.
That's different. Really, but I'm just talking about like I took 4 screenshots the first time I got in Phandrana Drifts, and I haven't taken a screenshot since then. And that was the first 2 days I had it.
So many.
It looks good, but I'm like, it looks good.
But are you not even like playing this game, for example, and thinking to yourself, this looks so great. I can't believe that. I can't wait to see what an actual from the ground up next gen Metroid is gonna be even better than this and shit.
On the Switch too, but it is from the game engines from the ground up. They're not. Yeah, they use some similar assets like the Space Pirates or designs. I think there's a lot of room for improvement there, and then the things that come out of the lava look the same. But as far as like the environments, that is from the ground up game engine. Like that's, other than they had to stay true to the shapes and the layout, I would say the thing you're going to see the improvement in is going to be the character models of the enemies, but at the same time, they still try to stay true to like the original Metroid Space Pirate designs, even with Prime, because to me that was, you want to call it a complaint, or it's always been an observation of mine, even back in the day. I always thought the Space Pirates design didn't lend me to believe that these guys had scientists and they're smart. They're doing all this research. You read all their logs, and then you see them visually, and it doesn't line up. It never lined up with me
they seem like fucking grunts.
that designed for that race doesn't seem like they have scientists, and that's just something that's actually even more evident now. And I'm like, yeah, this is just like, they just look like some weird robotic.
Honestly, you want them to have like glasses and white coats?
No, I'm just saying they just look like animals. They don't look like.
I love Metroid, but honestly, Space Pirates. I mean, that just feels. It just sounds so generic. Like they don't seem that. Like you said, they're very one dimensional.
They just look like a beast that has a weapon. That their arms are like spears. I just don't see, like, they don't show any other types of space pirates to lead me to believe.
That makes it so good though, because they're ruthless also with their experiments. That's what happens.
Well, reading it's great, but what I'm saying, it doesn't line up.
They're like, oh yeah, we just like put this guy in like a fake morph, broke his back, fucked him up and shit. You know, that's why they're so scary, because they're not good scientists.
No,
they make about as much sense as the fucking critters flying in spaceships.
What I'm saying is,
what I'm saying, they're little fucking creatures that eat people. It doesn't make sense for them to be like smart, flying around in spaceships.
Critters from the movies.
Yeah, from the 80s movies.
Yeah.
I love the movies, but that aspect of it makes no sense.
And then they're just mindless eating machines. But I'm just saying, what I'm reading is amazing. I love, but visually, I don't feel like they represent, like, when I read that, I envision something other than just like the design they went with. That's all I'm saying. It just
it's the design.
It's always just not for me. It's always just been like a
Space Pirate.
They didn't line up design wise from the writing to the visual side of them.
They didn't.
That's all I'm saying.
They didn't evolve it from the kind of simple, because they didn't know where Metroid was going. They were just they're just making a game there. They didn't know it would be.
And they had some sprites, and they had to make these like
these little bug-looking things, and so they didn't evolve that part of the game enough, I think, into the future.
And I feel like they tried to honor the original designs with and they did it to the nth degree.
The Chozo, beautiful. No, nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, the stat, like, everything looks great. Yeah. That's not, like I said, it's not a complaint. It's just, for me, it was always just like, that's not what I envisioned they'd look like based on everything I'm reading.
Because you say the Chozo now, for example, so I will like entertain this argument of the Space Pirates making no sense. To me, the Chozo never made sense until Dread's villain, where I'm like, hey, now it makes sense. This dude has this armor, he uses this stuff, now it makes sense. Before that, they were basically fucking rock birds. You know what I mean?
Well, you saw them way differently than I did.
Yeah.
Rock birds?
Well, those are just monuments and stuff. You never actually saw.
Yeah, those were monuments. That was a throwback basically to like Alien and shit, where you saw the architecture, you would see the different, the basically the engineers and shit that they fucked up in Prometheus. So you saw that stuff, and you're like, holy crap, what's all that? And so that's what I was seeing when I saw Chozo back in the day. I was like, oh, okay, they're just ancient race, and we know what they did. We know that they gave Samus her armor and all that kind of stuff. They raised her, basically.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. We know that, but like, I could never manage that. It made no fucking sense. They barely use it themselves. That's why I'm saying.
But they seem like civilized. They're the Chozo. They seem like civilized, alien beings. Whereas the fucking Space Pirates just like fucking, they were pirates.
And just like just like you're reading all the Chozo stuff, you don't have one come out and it'd be like, that's what a Chozo is, like. So you don't have that moment. That's what I'm saying for the Space Pirates. For me, I had that moment after reading all that stuff, and I'm like, Like it just like the visual design to me never lined up.
Maybe to me it's different because you guys are like more Star Wars. I was more Star Trek, so to me it's just more normal to
No, no,
have
no. You're
like
not gonna get away with
creatures
that.
like
No,
that
no,
in
no, no.
space
No.
with
I love me some
technology
Star
and
Trek too.
shit.
Don't even. You're not gonna get away with that one.
I know,
I watched Battlestar
but
Galactica and all that shit too. So no, 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 no,
then
no.
it should just make sense. I
You're not
don't
gonna put
understand
me
why
in
you
some,
think
peg
like
me in some hole where I'm just a Star Wars
It
guy.
doesn't make sense
No.
because they just show these like buggy robotic like killing people. Like they don't. I
Yeah,
mean,
even when you see them in Prime, it's just like these. You don't see them doing smart things. They're just killing machines.
yeah, that's why they're so brutal because as they don't make sense as scientists, but they still push it.
yeah, but they
No.
don't even look like people that could be capable of even doing anything. Like they don't even have hands, do they? I can't picture them right now.
They do, but they're like if the alien creature wore spacesuits from
But
Alien.
that's why. But that's why I'm saying the Chozo had the same thing until Dread. You never saw one like with battle armor jumping around as a morph ball, walking around and shit.
No, you never saw any of it, but you got the lore of what they were. You
Yeah, and I
it
don't
was
understand why the
believable.
Yeah,
lore of the
that's why I
space
use it as.
pirates is just like.
That's why it's a good example. If
Uh,
you saw the Chozo and they were just like, they just look like
Running
a
around doing this
turtle.
shit.
It was just like turtles. You'd be like, hey, that does not suit what they are. You know what I imagined in my head.
Right.
Let me bring this picture up.
You need to come over to our side. Come on over here. Come on over to
So
the
you
light
didn't even have a
side.
chance
I
to.
don't want to go to your dead soul side and shit. You fucking Sunderland hating bitches.
Yeah, they just. I mean, the
I want
designs
like
aren't
fucking
bad. They
no
just.
new
They
zero.
they
No,
just
they're
look like
not.
mindless killers more than. It's almost like a quiet place.
I just don't think Nintendo fleshed them out anywhere near the way they fleshed out the Chozo.
But just to use
And
like your critters example, a quiet place.
A Quiet Place. Exactly.
How did they get on? How did these things end up on an asteroid? I mean, it looked like a chunk of asteroid.
Yeah.
There's no way they're just mindless killers. Anything that makes sound, they just charge and kill, and they'll run into stuff. Like
How,
they
how do
definitely,
you last?
they definitely didn't do space travel. Like
No.
it's like but if they tried to make it like, hey, they arrived on a ship, you'd be like, how? They just mindlessly berserker attack everything that makes a sound and run into metal objects and stuff and like put themselves in harm's way because they're just mindless killers. That's kind of
Yeah.
the space
I
pirates
was
aren't to that
comparing.
level. I'm just saying it was just always one of those little quirks. Like Retro, you have a bunch of little quirks. I always found.
I was comparing it to the Covenant, but at least the fucking you hear the guys talk and they talk about shit. Even the fucking grunts have conversations in those games. But
I don't know.
pirates, the
Okay,
space pirates, they just go and they slash you
yeah,
and they
I
shoot
don't know. I
at you and
feel
slash
it's like fucking Predator, for example. You got like primordial
No.
Yeah, but
creatures that
you
have
can
different
see-
technology.
No, predators are smart. They do smart shit. Okay, they don't just
They're hunting for
I mean,
sport.
killing is a hunting sport for them. It's not
Yeah,
they're
that's
just
not very
mindless
smart
killers.
in my book. You see, they just
He's
have
missing the point.
And the space pirates, they want the
missing the point on
technologically advanced
purpose.
target.
Imagine if the predator
He's
looked.
purposely missing the point.
If the
It's a
predator-
strategy.
Yeah, the predator had like no hands and no eyes, and somehow it flew a ship and could do all this stuff. And like you would be like, how did it fly a ship? How did it ever make a ship to get somewhere? But no, he had human-like features. The eyes, you could see intelligence behind the eyes. It's like, yeah. So the design justified the fact that these things had got to space travel, got to the point where they could do space travel. That's all I'm saying. They just don't. The creatures don't look.
Yeah,
like...
because we have in all like space shows or sci-fi shows like that. There's always like the barbarians of the space guy, like the Worf and I can't think of their names right now. What do they call Klingons? Like the Klingons, right? They're fucking barbarians and shit, right? But you still know they're smart enough to like handle technology and fly ships and all that stuff. But that's not what the case. I feel with the space pirates.
Imagine if
that way.
Starship Troopers, they tried to make that those bugs
Oh god,
were smart
exactly.
enough to write
Exactly.
to have all the
makes no
scientific.
sense. I guess maybe the problem is
Well, they got
you
the brain
guys
bug.
just- I think you guys just think like space pirates are less developed cognitively than like because
They
I
act
don't
like
see
they
them as
are.
like fucking bugs on the floor and shit.
They look like
No,
bugs
they
with
can handle
arms.
technology.
Like they.
Like
I just looked at photos of them. Yeah, I mean they look like creatures. They don't look like they'd be doing, like I said, just like the
They look like
special.
creatures in like those bad sci-fi movies. Like okay, we were talking movies. Uh, Live Die Repeat, which would it should have been called. I can't even remember the real name.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, like Edge of Tomorrow, like those aliens. Just like they just seem like kind of killing machines.
Except for the alpha.
They were the weakest part, except for the alpha.
Yeah, but
That
was
was
like
the
a
weakest
hive
part.
thing.
I know, but that's
Because I
what
was gonna,
space
because
pirates feel like.
I was originally gonna use in my example the Borg, for example, but I didn't use it because it's more like a hive thing controlled by something, you know.
Yeah,
Imagine,
they have
like you see the Borg like hammering little ship and that kind of shit. No, you just accept
imagine
that
and
that's what they are.
take the exact designs from Prime of the space pirates. Give one of them a clipboard and a pen and be like, you know, we tried this, and they're just talking like British accents, and they're just like, that just won't work.
You see fucking Predator drinking tea together and shit, man.
Well,
come on.
You didn't see Predator 2?
I didn't read all this. I didn't read all this like in-depth like analysis and experience, like documentation from the Predator beforehand, so I don't have that built up.
Well, every movie except for like Alien vs Predator expanded on what the Predators were, like in the hierarchy and all that stuff. Even the bad movies, except for Predator versus Alien, Alien versus Predator, even that had a little bit of the hierarchy stuff. They at least expanded upon what those creatures were. In the first movie,
they expanded at the fucking cheaters.
In the first movie, at first, but that's the exact point we're making here. In the first movie, the Predator seemed like a kind of crazy killing machine, and even by the end of the movie, you realize he wasn't just a mindless killing machine. And every movie after that expanded on what the Predators were, their home world and the hierarchy and why they did this whole thing. I feel like the Space Pirates, which again is a terrible name, have never built upon being just space pirates, for a video game for Nintendo for the NES. They never like expanded upon what they were, at least not enough.
Who would have thought that telling
game.
You my little quirk about
became a whole
I just can't imagine the Space Pirates, doing like I said, with walking around with lab coats and clipboards and marking off, hey, this happened, we tried to put him in the morph ball, and then typing out all this like intelligent reports and stuff. To me it just always they just didn't go together, like.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was just, I'm sure Clocktits be listening to this, be like, you're hating on Metroid Prime, you're hating on it.
He's probably like smashing away his keyboard.
And I just want to say the podcast is over. I didn't misquote Clocktit on anything, so he loves it when we use his name and say something like summarize something he said, but kind of, what do you say, when they paraphrase it and miss what he was trying to say and stuff. So,
you guys are misrepresenting my words.
Hey, you got to be here. You got to be here to defend yourself.
It's your fault. It's your own fault.
So, and we didn't even talk Terrell. I could have talked all kinds of shit about Terrell and didn't.
About why you think Sonic forces. What's this? Frontiers?
I still think he really wanted to make that his game of the year, but he made Bayonetta 3 just because he didn't want to hear us saying, of course you're going to give it to Sonic. There you go, Terrell, if you watch this.
Not talking about him, but, fucking
Sonic
fanboys are some of the most delusional.
What was that tweet? What was that post that somebody came, Forspoken.
Yeah, Forspoken.
And, something about the budget, and then Sonic fans come in. Oh, Sonic Frontiers, I bet was half that. And you have this multi-million-dollar company making this game, and basically saying Sega's not multi-million-dollar. And then you had all these like Sonic fans like riding his,
Sega an indie company now.
Like, this had nothing to do with Sonic. Like, why did
nothing?
It kind of feels like when somebody
they're trying to find a win. The Sonic fans need to find a win.
It's like when somebody brings up like something Nintendo and they're not even bashing it, and then a Switch Defendo will jump in and defend the Switch for no reason. It wasn't even being attacked. Like,
Well,
oh, the Wii U shop's closing down. Oh, that, I'm sad. I love the Wii U shop. And here comes the Switch defendo, bringing up the Switch.
Oh, the Switch Online is so much better. I can get to have all these games. And,
I seen a post. It might have been Stealth. Tell me this isn't the best Nintendo system of all time. And it was a screenshot of
I'll tell you.
N64 online, Super NES online, NES on. It was the Switch's home menu with all the online. So it's the best because it has a few games from each of these classic systems
that you have to rent.
Like, so the Wii would be the best then because the Wii had all these you could buy, and it had so much more games.
You can play GameCube, you can play Wii, you can play TurboGrafx 16, NES, SNES, Super all
Genesis, N64.
Yeah, it had everything.
And there was a big library for each system.
Oh, and you actually got to keep those games and shit. You could play them.
Yeah, so it just. I am so over like Nintendo the victim mindset that I still see to this day.
They still try to make it a victim.
I'm like, the whole backwards compatibility thing. Like, there's people who just ran with that. Maybe he was just trying to get some clicks, or he just said, hey, there's a possibility there's going to be backwards compatibility.
No, he made a compelling argument.
And you get
watch the video.
Oh, Nintendo,
he was a developer, by the way, so he was coming from that standpoint. He knows the ins and outs that way. So he made it, and the video it wasn't even about that. It was just a little tiny thing mentioned in that whole video that he did.
And it's like Nintendo's not victims anymore. The Switch is gonna be probably the best-selling system of all time. They're not the victim right now. They have multiple games of like 10 different games have sold more than 20 million copies on the Switch. They're not the victim anymore.
It's already the best-selling system of all time, by the way. Fucking PS2 does not count for that fucking DVD gimmick. That's what sold that shit. Get over yourselves. That's why. So to me, it's already the best-selling.
Well, the DS is still ahead, but
I just meant home console.
Yeah.
Well, even though it's kind of a handheld too.
So yeah, I'm just like so over when I see a podcast or something or a tweet about like still pretending like Nintendo's the victim. Or with that mindset, like I get it with Wii U, Nintendo was.
We went through 4 or 5 years of Nintendo being a victim, and
it's been 6 years though.
They haven't gotten over it. They haven't gotten over
They're not the victim anymore. Nintendo's dominating. Like, even though it's funny, like people were talking about, hey, the PS5 is finally consistently beating the Switch in I think it was the U.S. in weekly or monthly hardware sales.
It's monthly.
And all of a sudden,
it's weekly.
Oh, well, bravo! They're beating a 6-year-old system. Like, wait, now it's a 6-year-old system because, like, before is dominating. Look at this low-powered system beating the PS5. Now it's like, oh, well, the PS5's just beating the Switch though. It's just a low-powered 6-year-old system. Like at this point, what's there to celebrate? It's like, really, you can't have it both ways. Like,
it's. I will say, because somebody said to me recently, I think it was in one of my recent videos. I think it was because I feel like I'm hypocritical because I brought up the fact that Nintendo still gets disrespected in a way of not being compared,
especially in like a podcast with Xbox and Sony. Like IGN, they still don't count Nintendo.
They still don't count it. It's like, oh, it's another. They created a whole entire new market. It's not even video games anymore. Wait a minute, what?
Like a streamer, like a gamer. They'll be Xbox, Sony, PC, and then Nintendo's like, I don't really play
Nintendo's a whole other thing. And my point was that, okay, well, Wii U came out, and none of that stuff that you guys are saying is why Nintendo is on their own. That didn't count then, but now that Nintendo's number one, and now it counts. You got to make them something else because you don't want them to be number one. But there was a guy, a Sony fanboy in there, and he was talking about, the PS5 is outselling your little Fisher.
Yeah, there's nothing to celebrate on either side.
Bro, really? Really? That's what you're celebrating? Come on, man. First of all, it took 2 years for that to happen.
If anything, it's just a sign that the chip shortage is probably over.
Right, that's all it is. Because that's supposed to happen. That's supposed to be the case. The new system comes out and it's supposed to sell more than the system that came out 6 years
But
ago.
it's also a
Right?
sign, like what I've been saying, is Nintendo. The Switch is down 20% from the previous
Yeah,
year.
it's definitely starting to fall
Like,
off.
oh no, it
I
still
still don't
sells
even know.
millions.
I still don't even know what they're playing on that PS5 because they're burying all that Forspoken in a landfill.
Oh,
So stupid. Why throw away those? Why trash those steelbooks? At least just like
clout.
maybe they just know they couldn't even give them away, you know. But I would take
Oh,
You can
one.
you can
always, you can
give
always,
everything
yeah,
away.
you can
That's
always
why it's
give
so
that shit
stupid.
away.
Yeah.
I would have taken one for. I'll probably end up
I'd
with
have
the
took
game
the whole
My
someday.
thing.
PS5, I'd take one. Gimme.
I'd have taken all them
I love
shits. They're gonna be
steelbooks.
rare.
I wish Resident Evil 4 had a steelbook, but they stopped. They did it in the last few games, like the last 4 or 5 releases, and now they're just like, no, I guess we're not gonna do it this time. I'm like, damn. But anyway,
Yeah,
it's quite the podcast, quite the interesting.
it's quit.
I love that discussion, man. Like, I even though
F-Zero's
it's all
trash.
shit, but
Space pirates are
F-Zero,
trash.
We
the
find
space
stuff about. We find stuff we didn't even know about each other out in these podcasts. Like
It's just
honestly, I just not realized it, but I just kind of. This is my first time articulating that about space pirates and what my
I've
issue
always
is
thought
with.
that I just thought the
I know
design
I've
didn't
always
line up.
thought it, but I've never like outly
I've
articulated.
always
it.
wondered if there's like another version of them, like they're like they're like modified grunts, and there's actually a more intelligent looking.
Well, the problem is they're called
version.
space pirates. I don't give a shit if there are. You got to
you
come up
guys
with
want
better.
It's
you
still a
guys
cool
want the
name.
space you guys want the space pirates
Yeah,
to
if you're
look like the
12
fucking
in
goom,
1980s.
Oh,
you
Lenny
want them to
Wright
look
said
like the
something
fucking
about
Goombas from the movie.
Lenny Wright said South Park. I don't know if they made a joke about Nintendo
I haven't watched
or
South Park in so
an
long.
innovative multi-billion
behind.
dollar franchise creating victim. Yeah. I mean, there was a time the
I think
Wii U, they were getting shit on for no reason with the Wii, the
Yeah,
Wii U. I
and
mean,
we
not,
defended them for that. We defended them against that shit.
you know,
But
all
then the
these.
Switch comes out, and there's really nothing to defend. It's selling really well. It's got the good graces of the media. So what do you? Because that was the big thing about Wii U. It got shit on daily by the media. That didn't happen with the Switch, but yet you're still trying to make it a Wii U. No, that stuff's gone now. Find pick better battles when it comes to the Switch. Like me, I tried to pick something new on something. Like Nintendo still is not getting the respect of the other gaming companies, even though they're first of all they've been around longer than any other ones, and they're at the top again. But they don't want them to be at the top. Like with the Wii, they try to make it's just soccer moms, it's soccer moms and grandparents that play the Wii. Really? Because I'm looking at these sales charts, and there's 20, 30 million selling games, and they're talking about, everybody only played Wii Sports. Really? I'm looking at these sales charts, and that don't seem to be true. So they always try to make something else out of Nintendo's success.
just to say
Super Nintendo.
so because you guys can't imagine the space pirates. I'm going back to that. You guys can't imagine the space pirates like putting on like a little lab coat, but you have that Spider-Man villain, fuck the crocodile or dinosaur dude, who's all wild and shit. And then when he's in his lab, he puts on a
because
little
he's-
white little
Croc?
coat with his little
Are you talking about
yeah.
Spider-Man? Well, he was
Yeah.
a scientist. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
He was a human who morphed into
He was a human.
a
that changed his
reptile.
fucking
But I
body.
just mean visually, he's all like attacking and all wild and
Come
shit.
on,
But then
he's
also
reaching.
he puts his little lab coat.
Talking
and
about-
shit,
Oh, come on, man.
You're reaching.
That's a reach. That is a reach. You could have done better. You could have found something better than that.
Anyway, we'll get out of here. Good chat, fellas. It's been fun. It's been real. Just hasn't been real fun.
Clock's head is exploding somewhere. Right now.
I do want to give Jace Clocked It a shout out. He's playing dual stick with Metroid Prime, dual stick gyro. So shout outs to him. I kind of expected him to just be a purist and play with the GameCube controller.
He can change, can't we all?
So, props to him. I kind of feel like he wasn't happy about the idea of playing that game dual stick, but that I might be wrong.
Yeah.
That was just my impression. But I was surprised. I thought he was gonna be legit. I'm gonna play it purist, and he seems to be enjoying it. So
Because it's really good.
it is.
If it sucked, trust me, I'd tell you. But it's so good. Dual stick.
And I love
I'm
being
not a
able
dual
to
stick
tilt
dude.
the gyro down. It makes platforming way easier. I'm in the phase
Mm.
on mines, and there's some. I always used to fall to the bottom. There's like the spider ball up to the top, and now I can just tilt the controller, look perfectly, look down, and make my jumps. It's amazing. So anyway,
When you remake Turok, do that shit on
oh
Turok.
yeah. But yeah, we'll see you guys maybe next week. Who knows
Wait,
who'll
but
be here?
like fucking Turok, how does that make sense to you then?
What do you mean?
Isn't Turok the same? It's been so long since I played. That's the same shit, like fucking dinosaur attack shit, you know?
Nah.
Man, we're not going there right now. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.